listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
Welcome back to the Summerlee Raceway here at Larkhall, the West of Scotland Karting Club. We're getting ready for the first races of the weekend in the Tito Money Super 1 British Karting Championships, live trackside here at the West of Scotland Kart Club, and of course on Downforce UK, brought to you by Kato Motorsport. Hello everybody, Jake Sanson here in the commentary box, overlooking the start-finish line on this fantastic tight and twisty circuit, which has already given us some fantastic qualifying sessions. Now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of the meeting as we go into the MSA Bambinos National Championship, the first time in history that we have had MSA Bambino racing in Great Britain. It's going to be an amazing championship, this one. A few things for the spectators to keep an eye on over the course of the meeting. We've got a young man running around in the pits called Ben, who is chasing after your used microfiber cloths, and he is taking all of the microfiber cloths from teams who are no longer using them and raising funds for his local hospital. So if you happen to have a microfiber cloth that you're not going to use anymore, it's just tatty, it's raggy, just hand it to Ben. There are yellow buckets in the pits. Go and find young Ben, and he's raising money for his local hospital. That's great going, and hopefully we're going to get some more funds raised for him over the course of the weekend. But the Saltire is getting ready to go as we leave the pits in a few seconds' time. The magnificent blue and white Saltire Cross is going to wave as the drivers head out onto the circuit, as the MSA Bambinos will take their first steps into a national racing championship. It's never been done before at MSA Bambino level to go racing. Plenty of Bambino championships up and down the length and breadth of Great Britain, of course, that go racing at club level, but never as an MSA Bambino Racing Championship of Great Britain. So this is the official MSA National Racing Championship for Bambinos, and there's a lot of very excited and very, very anticipatory faces up and down this paddock as we get the racing underway. 8 minutes on the clock, and this is the first taste of racing for these guys in the 2018 season. And what a grid it's going to be. Oscar O'Sullivan and Fraser Anderson from the front of the grid, with Freddie Duncan and Aston Sharp on the second row of the grid. Sky Parker of Wales and Evie Davidson, the local girl, share row 3. Then it's Ryan McCall and Gregor Reed on the fourth row, and following them is Freddie Hare, Laith Khan and Fletcher Jameson. The first ever race in MSA Bambino National Championship racing, and of course the drivers will be forming up on the starting grid. It is a standing start in MSA Bambinos, and the drivers will be getting themselves into position and keenly off for the racing. But the first ever pole position from the MSA Bambino National Championship will forever be known as being clinched by Oscar O'Sullivan, the 46, and he'll have a really fantastic run. So let's see how the young man all the way from Bexley will have a strong run there in the number 46. We'll see how he lines up in position, and great to see how things are going. I've just been handed all my gear from last night by Kato Adams, who's brought it all the way up. Thank you so much. I left it in the awning. That's where it all was. Thank you. So let's see how the drivers get themselves underway for the MSA Bambinos. Goodness me, putting himself completely into position. Gregor Reed knew exactly how to put himself into position there as the drivers are now lined up on the starting grid. It is a standing start in MSA Bambino National Championship racing, and we're getting ready for the off. O'Sullivan, Anderson, Duncan, Sharp, Parker and Davidson, and they are away. Cracking start for the 46 O'Sullivan as the race gets underway. Anderson sliding into second position, and it's a very clean start as they make their way through the first couple of corners. A cracking getaway though from Oscar O'Sullivan from that pole position as they make their way down to the hairpin for the first time, and they go out of my view courtesy of all of the various Super 1 Series team awnings and motorhomes. Unfortunately, they go out of view and then they come back into view on the far side. Looks to me as though it's still Oscar O'Sullivan, the 46, that leads the way, although it looks as though we had a lead change as they come into the right-hander, and there has been a change at the front end of the field. The battle is already joined, and it's the number 10, Fraser Anderson, who gets into the lead of the dais. Brilliant stuff as they race away for position up through the sweeper turns and up towards the back side of the circuit. Fraser Anderson, Oscar O'Sullivan, and in third position, that looks like the 25 of Aston Sharp has gone with them. So the leading three out in the top three positions already as they charge away. The 48 is in fourth. That's Sky Parker. Cracking start from Sky. Then it's Freddie Duncan, Evie Davidson, Fletcher Jameson, Ryan McCall, Laith Khan, Gregor Reed and Freddie Hare. Interestingly, purple in the first sector, and fastest lap of all was Leif Khan, the number 11, first lap of his season, and Leif Khan is there in first position. So a great performance as they go down towards the far end of the circuit. They come back in amongst the trees and then through that sharp square right. But Fraser Anderson, local man, is pinning his hopes on the lead of this race, extending, and he is doing a grand job of it. Second O'Sullivan, third Sharp, and then the battle behind them is intensifying as the young Welsh lady Sky Parker is leading the charge in fourth position, with a lot of attention from Freddie Duncan and Evie Davidson as they battle away for fourth position. Looks like a nice move for eighth place there, I think, from Leif Khan. The 11 has come through into P8, overtaking the 99 of Fletcher Jameson on that quick left flick on the far end of the circuit. So a great move there as the 17 of Evie Davidson tries a move into the first corner on Freddie Duncan. Wasn't quite able to get the move done in the end, but a very good battle. And that's the 23 of Freddie Hare, having made a little moment there in the final corner and having rejoined the circuit in P11. They're all learning. They're still getting used to it. So not a bad run from Freddie Hare in the first couple of laps, and his sector times suggest that he is definitely getting on with it. So here they come. And your leader once again comes into sight as they head into the left-hand hairpin at the end of the circuit in the second sector. Fraser Anderson and Oscar O'Sullivan. Then it's Aston Sharp trying to stay with them. And it looks to me as though Oscar O'Sullivan's getting very hasty on the back of Fraser Anderson. He wants to get this position back and take the lead of this race over. Started from the front of the grid, of course, and led initially. But already there's been a bit of a challenge from Fraser Anderson to his crown. So Anderson leads, and here comes O'Sullivan trying to get the moves on the 46 car to come through. Sky Parker still leads the charge, but it's a four-way battle now because we've got Sky Parker, Freddie Duncan, Evie Davidson and Ryan McCall, all very close. Then Leif Khan and Fletcher Jameson, Gregor Reed in 10th, and in 11th is Freddie Hare in the 23. So as they come onto the far side, Fraser Anderson and Oscar O'Sullivan still battling away for the victory. Who's got the lead? At the moment, it's still Anderson. O'Sullivan is right underneath him, though, as they come through that right-hander back onto the second sector. And this is where things will get really interesting for O'Sullivan as he tries to make a move. He's not quite going to get there yet, but he is going to push on, try and get a move on the exit of the hairpin. He's going to leave it late and tuck up on the inside. That's a beautiful bit of driving for O'Sullivan. They're going to be side by side into the right-hander. He needs to commit to it, but he doesn't. He backs out of it, and that gives the place back to the number 10 of Fraser Anderson. So a good bit of work set up there by Oscar O'Sullivan. He now knows how to get the job done. Next time, he just needs to keep his foot in. But great driving from Oscar O'Sullivan. Really good work there as he battles with Fraser Anderson for the lead. Meanwhile, looks like Evie Davidson has lost a little bit of ground and is backing Ryan McCall further up. And Freddie Duncan is swarming all over the back of the Welsh racer, Sky Parker. She's doing a grand job there in P4 from the third row of the grid. So Fraser Anderson and Oscar O'Sullivan still running very well together as they continue their battle on the far side, up the back straight and up towards that right-hander that leads you back onto the second sector of the lap. Here they come. Oscar O'Sullivan again swarming around. Anderson got a little bit impeded by a run wide there in the curb and through the left-hand hairpin. Oscar O'Sullivan threatening again. Will there be another opportunity into that hairpin? They're going to go side by side again. Now this time Oscar O'Sullivan needs to step onto it. No, I think he might have to back out of that one because he's not quite as far alongside Anderson as he wanted to be. But again, O'Sullivan's got a great chance if he can just get that hairpin on the second part of that sector nailed. He will have a great opportunity to take back the lead of this race. But it's a great run from O'Sullivan in second place behind Anderson. Sharp is third, fourth is Parker, and it looks to me as though Freddie Duncan has had a moment. Oh, he's off the circuit. Freddie Duncan is out of the race, I'm afraid to say, at the second hairpin. So Freddie Duncan out of the race in the second sector at the second hairpin, the right-hander. So that is the end of the race, I'm afraid to say, for Freddie Duncan, who retires from the first race of the season. But he will now, of course, be having a great view of this battle between Anderson and O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan goes into the left-hander hairpin in the second sector. Now O'Sullivan looks very fired up. This time he can try and get the move on the inside, but no, Anderson's prepared for him. He was not going to give him the space this time by. So Anderson and O'Sullivan having a great squabble over the lead of this race. Not far behind them is Aston Sharp in third position, who will again try and close down the gap. Sky Parker has now dropped the rest of the field behind her. So this is a great run from Sky Parker, the 48 in P4, all the way from Wales. And is now stretching out an advantage over Ryan McCall, Leif Khan, Evie Davidson, having to squabble there and has lost 2 places, unfortunately, to Gregor Reed and Fletcher Jameson. All very close together as they came through, but Reed and Jameson round on the outside. Davidson slotting into 8th position, and then, of course, into 9th place, I should say. And then we've got Freddie Hare still going in the 10th position mark there in the number 23. Keep going, Freddie, doing a grand job, keeping those sector times going very well, to be fair. But Oscar O'Sullivan is the fastest in the first sector. They come up to the hairpin, in through the left, pushing very hard indeed now. Oscar O'Sullivan trying to get that gap down to Fraser Anderson. Anderson continues with that wide line into the second hairpin, and Oscar O'Sullivan is able to close up a lot of the gap just in that one corner. So they continue to squabble away. And up the inside into the final turn. This is where he's going to get the move, and he's got it sweetly done. Can he hold it on the exit? They're going to be side by side. Oh, very close and nicely done there by Oscar O'Sullivan. Beautiful overtaking move there into the final turn. He really set Anderson up for that one. But Anderson is not done yet. The Scotsman is going to push very hard indeed. It's O'Sullivan leading then from Anderson, Sharp, Parker, McCall, Khan, Reid, Jameson, Davidson and Hare. So is Oscar O'Sullivan going to hang on for the victory of this one as they come back up the far end straight? It is going to be close between these two. O'Sullivan's got a little bit of space between himself and Fraser Anderson, but it will be close as these two continue to battle for position. So let's see how the racing continues on with these two. O'Sullivan still hangs on to the lead. Anderson trying a different line and now trying to sweep back to the inside line, but O'Sullivan looks to have the measure of Fraser Anderson on this part of the course. But Oscar O'Sullivan running very well at the front of the Bambino field at the moment. There's a good squabble going on further back between Gregor Reid and Fletcher Jameson. They're having a brilliant little tussle for the eighth, I think that's for 7th position as they continue to battle away. 3rd place, Aston Sharp still going well. Sky Parker in P4. And then a 5th position battle is intensifying again now because we've got Ryan McCall on the back of Laith Khan. And Evie Davidson's giving pressure to Gregor Reid and Fletcher Jameson for 7th place. So there's some great racing all the way through the field. And Freddie Hare still there in 10th position. Yes, he's a little way further back, but his sector times are very, very good indeed. He's in the 19s, actually going quicker than some of the drivers in the middle of the field. So good work from Freddie Hare. Keep it up, mate. There's still some great battles. Up to the hairpin. O'Sullivan, Anderson. Good moves between those two. Is Anderson going to get the switch back on O'Sullivan? He tries to come up on the far side. He's not quite going to be able to get the undercut that time by. As he comes through the right flick into the left, he might be able to set him up for the final turn. He's having a think about it. O'Sullivan's got him well covered in that final turn. And as they come through this time by, the last lap begins. Anderson's got a great run out of the final turn. He's going to try and zip it up the inside. There's contact between them as they go through that first corner. Have they both made it out? I didn't see two carts go through. I certainly saw a flick of colour. Have they both managed to get through this time? I can't see at that part of the course, but I think both of them are still running together. They managed to have got out of that little moment. And they'll see them racing back together. Yes, Anderson is still right on the heels of Oscar O'Sullivan. So they're still racing, battling the way as they come back into our sight through the right-hander, up towards the hairpin in the second sector. Anderson's got a great run through that right hand. So is he going to make an opportunistic move into the hairpin? Not in the first one. He'll try and set up Oscar O'Sullivan for the second hairpin. He now cuts across to the inside line. O'Sullivan's got him well covered. This is going to go down to the final corner as Evie Davidson has got past... that's a move there from Ryan McCall to try and hold up Gregor Reid trying to come by. But in the final turn, it looks like it's going to go the way of O'Sullivan unless Anderson can get a good squiggle on round the final turn. It's O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan gets there and he's absolutely elated. Aston Sharp is 3rd position in front of Sky Parker. It's a close battle to the flag for 5th position, but it is won by Laith Khan, who fights his way forward up 5 places from 10th on the grid to P5. Great run from Laith Khan. Ryan McCall is 6th in front of Gregor Reid, Evie Davidson, and unfortunately Fletcher Jameson having a moment there at the final turn. Comes across the line for 9th place. Freddie Hare will be 10th and Freddie Duncan sadly out of the race. But what a battle that was up front. Oscar O'Sullivan versus Fraser Anderson to the line and separated by a 10th of a second. Oscar O'Sullivan appears to be a very, very happy man indeed. He fought his way back into the lead after a cracking run behind Fraser Anderson. But Oscar O'Sullivan will be an absolutely delighted chappie. And Fraser Anderson is very happy too in 2nd position. Great run from both of them there. Aston Sharp, well, goodness me, almost went into the back of his two guys that he was coming into the pits behind. A good run there from Freddie Hare. Okay, he might be disappointed with the end result, but in terms of his final sectors over the course of the race, he was faster than a lot of the drivers in front of him. So without that spin, he would have been right in the mix as well. So good job from Freddie Hare. Unfortunate for Freddie Duncan. Hopefully there'll be more great racing from him over the course of the weekend. But the first ever MSA Bambino National Championship race has taken place and it's been won by Oscar O'Sullivan. Not bad going indeed. From Fraser Anderson, Aston Sharp, Sky Parker in 4th place, Laith Khan in 5th, from Ryan McCall, Gregor Reid, Evie Davidson, Fletcher Jameson and Freddie Hare, with Freddie Duncan finishing up as a non-finisher unfortunately. But there's plenty of opportunities for him to move further forward. And the focus will now switch to the second race on the bill, and that is for the TKM Extreme. Could we have not chosen a better championship to go into the action with verve, vigour and gusto? The TKM Extreme is up next.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So with TKM Extreme about to head out onto the circuit for their race, it's going to be a really interesting battle for the drivers who will have a strong battle ahead of them. But with the TKM Extreme being so closely matched in qualifying, it's hard to know who is going to emerge as our eventual race winner. Very, very close in the top of the day, as we had the two different timed sessions, of course, because the grid is so large they had to be separated into two splits. They've now been separated into three groups of drivers, of course, and this is between Group A and Group B, who will race against each other in this first heat. And they will have just 3 heats over the course of today, with 2 races apiece, as it were, because Group B, Group C and Group A will both get chances, will all get chances to race twice over the course of proceedings. But it's for Group A and Group B that will head out onto the circuit for this first of the TKM Extreme races. 3 races in all over the course of today. But the first race will see these 2 groups battling for position. We're about to send the drivers out onto the circuit for their first of 3 races. And in TKM Extreme in particular, we have an incredible crop of drivers, with 7 seeded drivers coming into this season in Sam Fowler, Harry Moore, Adam Sparrow, Joe Stockford, Chris Whitten, Matthew Taylor and Lee Whittingham. But Ross Deal and Joe Fowler completely outsmarted them in the qualifying session earlier on. So Joe Fowler and Ross Deal will go off the front of the grid, and it's going to be interesting to see how the battle will unfold behind them. So they will head out the grid as they leave the pits now. And we'll see the drivers going for a great race in the TKM Extreme category. The first of our heats here today at the Summerlee Raceway of the West of Scotland Kart Club in Larkhall, Scotland, just a few short miles from the city of Glasgow. So Joe Fowler and Ross Deal will be on the front of the grid, with Adam Sparrow and Louis Bevan on the second row from Lee Whittingham and Rob Wellham. Matthew Ayres and Gavin Pitt will be on the next row from Carl Sproat and Matthew Taylor. Harry Moore and Max Goldsmith come next from Joseph Reeves-Smith and Alex Rees. Josh Sheriff and Sam Johns are next up. Then it's Joe Stockford and Andrew Lawrence, Owain Rosser, James Whittaker, Matthew Horton, Isaac Marsh, Lewis Rushforth, Amy Duke, Pete Newman and Alexander Lemon. So it's going to be a really interesting battle. And we'll get some fantastic racing from these guys as they battle in position. They are in their formation. A few karts have been left behind, actually, so they may well get sent around again. So the battle is going to be weighted. It's going to be delayed one more lap, so they will go around one more time as the race is yet to start. So the drivers obviously need to wait for all of the karts to get into position before the rolling start can happen. That was not the best of getaways from the TKM Extreme. And that just adds to the tension and the drama of this first race of the season, because everybody wants to start their championship campaign in earnest with a good run. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they go off this first race of the season. So the grid I've got in front of me is Joe Fowler and Ross Deal, Adam Sparrow and Louis Bevan, Lee Whittingham and Rob Wellham, Matthew Ayres and Gavin Pitt, Carl Sproat and Matthew Taylor, Harry Moore and Max Goldsmith, Joe Reeves-Smith, Alex Rees, then Josh Sheriff, Sam Johns, Joe Stockford, Andrew Lawrence, Owain Rosser, James Whittaker, Matthew Horton, Isaac Marsh, Lewis Rushforth, Amy Duke, Pete Newman and Alex Lemon. So as the drivers come through, they will get themselves up into position. And that's a much better formation. So this time I think we're going to go green. But the drivers will hold themselves in formation. Fowler and Deal from Adam Sparrow and Louis Bevan, Lee Whittingham and Rob Wellham out of the final turn. And now we'll get up to speed. We are going to go racing. It's a nice clean start and away we go. Cracking it away at the front of the field. No major dramas as the field sweeps by. Clean start in earnest as they go through for the first couple of corners as they head down to the hairpin for the first time. Just looking to see if there's any problems in that first hairpin. Don't see any for the moment. And as they come up the first part of the lap, it's all going fine for Joe Fowler. 14.4 for him in the first sector. Not a bad start on the Birrell Art Run Jade Racing Team machine. And as they battle on, Ross Deal is there in second position. The field has come through without too many major issues. Just trying to see if there's anybody left behind. Doesn't look like it, so a clean start. And as they come out of the final turn this time, it is Joe Fowler who leads the way from Ross Deal, Sparrow, Whittingham, Bevan, Wellham, Ayres, Sproat, Pitt, Taylor, Reeves-Smith, Rees, Moore, Goldsmith, Sheriff, Johns and Stockford. So not a massive shuffle of the deck thus far, but it's as they were as the 26 drivers run around the circuit, still putting on a fantastic show and really having a good run around this magnificent Larkhall circuit. The battle continues on. And the drivers working hard in the first few sections of the race. And there's a little bit of a moment there. Who's that just ran wide? That's the 71. Getting a little bit, the 74 that got a little bit sideways. That is the battling performance of James Whittaker. Got himself a little bit wide there in the right-hander. Had to get a bit of a recovery drive going there. But Fowler leads still from Deal. Sparrow, Whittingham, Bevan. Then Wellham, Ayres, Sproat, Taylor and Reeves-Smith rounding out the top 10. A warning flag there for the 74 of James Whittaker. So clearly, whatever the incident he's involved with there, they were just trying to get him to calm down. I think it might have been a track limits warning more than anything else. So the battle continues on the far side of the circuit as they go through the first of the lefts, through the left hairpin, and then up through the right to get to the end of the lap. This is a good run from your leader, Joe Fowler, although he's got pressure now from Ross Deal and Adam Sparrow, who are working together to try and chop down the gap a little bit. Lee Whittingham's still there in P4. Louis Bevan is in the mix there as well in 5th position, in front of the 28 of Rob Wellham, is up now into P5. So a good run from Rob Wellham. He's up into 5th position now, having originally started P6. Rob Wellham is now up to P5, chasing down Lee Whittingham. So that's a good start from Wellham as he continues to make progress. Now P5. Into the right. The leaders are tightening up as Adam Sparrow has gone off the circuit there. He ran wide on the exit of the right-hander coming back into the section, and now he's got to hang on in front of Lee Whittingham. Whittingham's going to give him a bit of a hurry up. Whittingham trying to get down on the inside. There's not a lot that Sparrow can do about this at the moment, but Whittingham's going to go for the move, and down the same move goes Wellham. Wellham's going to try and make the same move. Wellham got held up but manages to get through anyway, and there's going to be a bit of a charge as Bevan tries to come around the outside of Adam Sparrow. But it's open house for 3rd position now as they battle away out of... Continue to battle for the lead of this race. Fowler has got Deal on his tail. Ross Deal still pushing hard, looks pretty handy at the moment, but 3rd position, that looks to me like there's going to be a change as Wellham makes the move and goes through. Rob Wellham into 3rd position. There's a little bit of a shove there on the way through, but I think that was more to do with the fact that Lee Whittingham wasn't sure if Wellham was going to go for the move or not, and ended up steering his cart, slightly bashed the side of it, but there we go. Fowler leads, Deal 2nd, Wellham now up to 3rd position. Great run this from Rob Wellham. Whittingham 4th from Bevan, Sparrow, Sproat, Ayres, Reeves-Smith and Matthew Taylor. Then it's Pitt, Harry Moore, Alex Rees, Josh Sheriff, Sam Johns, Max Goldsmith, Andrew Lawrence, Pete Newman, Stockford, Whittaker, Horton, Duke, Marsh, Lemon, Rosser and Rushforth. Here come the leaders once again. Fowler's got Ross Deal right underneath him. Deal is giving him a lot of pressure. Wellham trying to soak it up from Lee Whittingham at the moment, while Louis Bevan leads the charge in 5th position backwards. This is a really tough battle because he's got Adam Sparrow and Carl Sproat right in there. Up the inside, that's a move from, I think that's Lee Whittingham. That's Sparrow getting the move back on Bevan. Bevan gets him straight back once more. So Bevan making the move back on Adam Sparrow to take back that 5th position out of the final hairpin. Great racing in the TKM Extremes with 3 minutes 40 on the clock. Great racing. Here come the leaders once more, Fowler and Deal. Deal's a lot closer to Fowler. He's not going to get the opportunity to make the move this time. Wellham still 3rd from Whittingham. And then we've got this amazing scrap for 5th position as, oh goodness me, Louis Bevan goes very wide in there and Sparrow's going to get an opportunity to go for it. Into that final hairpin. No major moves for 1st. What about 3rd? No. What about 5th? There's probably going to be somebody making the move. As up the inside from a long way back, that looks like Matthew Taylor making the move on Matthew Ayres. And up into 9th position. Good move there. Side by side, there's a little bit of contact as the 50 tries to go door to door with the 77. That's Alex Rees and Matthew Ayres. The 58 it was trying to go door to door. And that was very close indeed. Now this time Ross Deal looks very feisty behind Joe Fowler. He may get an opportunity this time. Into the 1st hairpin, no move. Into the 2nd hairpin, not close enough, but he's definitely building up to it. Is now in 6th position. We've got Carl Sproat, having made the move on Adam Sparrow, who's now down behind the 90 of Joseph Reeves-Smith. So Reeves-Smith is up into 7th position. So it's Bevan, Sproat, Reeves-Smith, Sparrow, and then Matthew Taylor in front of Harry Moore. Great racing all the way down this pack, and still good battles as they continue to charge forward. So Andrew Lawrence has lost quite a few places on that lap, rejoins in 20th place, so something's happened to Andrew Lawrence on that one I didn't see, unfortunately. But Joe Fowler and Ross Steele continue to lead this race, and they are battling away from the rest of the field. Ross Steele just working with Joe Fowler to get away, and then in the penultimate laps, he will be trying to make those overtaking moves his own. Up to 6th position, that's a great move from Reeve Smith into the hairpin. He makes the move there on Kyle Sproat. Beautifully done. Now trying to make the same move. Behind him is Adam Sparrow, but he can't get past Sproat on that occasion. There's a little bit of a hold up further back as a couple of drivers are trying to make the move just outside the top 20, just outside the top 10 even. It's the 20 of Josh Sheriff making the move on Matthew Ayres at exactly the right moment. And he's got the move done on Alex Reese, who's lost an awful lot of places as well on that lap. Joe Stockford trying to work his way forward in the battle with Whittaker. Some titanic battles in this race. And that's a change for the lead. That is Ross Steele through. Ross Steele has taken the lead there in the right-hander. Good move from him. 3rd position, still Rob Wellham with Whittingham chasing him down. 5th position, that is still Louis Bevan with Joseph Reeve Smith on his tail. And there's yellow flags because we've gone and off. Now, that looks to me... Is that Matthew Ayres, the 58, who's gone there? That's one of the drivers certainly at the sharp end. And I think that's Matthew Ayres who's tried to hold on to a position and ended up going backwards. So Matthew Ayres rejoins in 20th position at least. It's going to be about 22nd by the time he's gone through. So Matthew Ayres not happy. But we're now into the final minutes, so this is the time when we're going to start to see a few more of those exciting battles. Here comes Joe Fowler onto the back of Ross Steele, and likewise Whittingham on the back of Rob Wellham. 5th position could still happen for Joseph Reeve Smith on the back of Louis Bevan, but he's got Carl Sproat, Matthew Taylor and Adam Sparrow still very close for comfort. Harry Moore's in there as well. But as they come through at the end of the lap, it is still Deal in front of Fowler, and this is the penultimate lap. Here we go, Rob Wellham and Lee Whittingham. Bevan, Reeve Smith, Sproat, Taylor, Sparrow and Moore. Then Josh Smith, the leading rookie, is 11th in front of Pitt. Then it's Reese, Newman, Goldsmith, Johns, Stockford, Lawrence, Whittaker, Horton, Duke. Rosser in front of Marsh and Ayres now, so Ayres has dropped back. I have a feeling that Matthew Ayres has actually got a problem out of the result of that. Side by side for the lead. There goes Fowler. Fowler takes back the lead from Ross Steele. Terrific. Now Deal's going to try and come back at him. They're going to be like this for the next lap and a half now as Ross Steele is trying to get one over on Joe Fowler once more. So it's going to be stalemate for this lap, surely, at the end of the lap. Fowler's trying to get through, and Ross Steele's going to be side by side. It's Steele just in front of Fowler. No, it's not. The other way round. And they're going to go into the last lap like this. 5th position, well, 7th position is anybody's guess, because Taylor's there with Sparrow, Sprout and Moore as they squabble away for position. Terrific racing from these guys into the last lap of the race here in the TKM Extreme first heat of the day at the West of Scotland Kart Club. The last few corners, Fowler versus Steele. They've lost a lot of time to the 3rd place men who are still charging to see if they can get something from this. A quick look over the shoulder for Ross Steele. He knows they're closing, so he needs to try and see if he can make the move. Good defence from Joe Fowler, but there's now going to be 4 of them for the win. Is there going to be a late lunge? Trying to come past on the inside. 3rd position, Whittingham tries to get past Rob Wellham, and it's going to be a victory for Moore. For Fowler even. Fowler wins from Deal, Wellham and Whittingham. Bevan, Reeve Smith, Taylor, Sprout, Sparrow, Pitt, Sheriff, Newman. Moore got spat out. That's why I was confused, because I saw Moore going backwards through the field. But Harry Moore, the number 4, is no more. 25th position and out of the race. There is Moore. That's why I got confused, because I was thinking about something at exactly the same time. So Harry Moore comes through in dead last, unfortunately. So a big disaster for Harry Moore in the midst of that battle for 5th position. And I think it was the last lap that, down on the far side of the circuit, where it all ended in tears for Harry Moore. His race ends, unfortunately. But it's Joe Fowler who gets the victory from Ross Steele, Rob Wellham and Lee Whittingham. Then it's Bevan, Reeve Smith, Taylor, Sprout, Sparrow and Gavin Pitt in the top 10. Josh Sheriff, the leading rookie, in 11th. Then it's Newman from Goldsmith, Andrew Lawrence, Alex Reese, Joe Stockford, Sam Johns, then James Whittaker from Matthew Horton, Amy Duke, Owain Rosser, Isaac Marsh, Alex Lemon, Lewis Rushforth, Matthew Ayres and Harry Moore. All of the drivers started the race, but unfortunately not all of them finished where they wanted to finish. But Joe Fowler wins the race by 0.12 of a second from Ross Steele. Then it's Rob Wellham from Lee Whittingham, Louis Bevan and Joseph Reeve Smith in the top 6. Rounding out the 10 is Matthew Taylor, Kyle Sprout, Adam Sparrow and Gavin Pitt. Wow. Spicy, ferocious racing then from the TKM Extreme, the first heat of the weekend. And that was well worth it. Next up on the circuit, we get to see the battle between the IARMY cadets, and they've been relatively exciting every single time they've gone out onto the circuit. So this time, when we're under racing conditions, will be no different at all.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Lando Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Slight lubrication from the commentator up in the commentary box, and we get ourselves back into position. Just a sip of water, don't worry. Nothing stronger. I know we're in Scotland, but do it nightly. Anyway, we have the drivers from the Army Cadets about to make their way out onto the circuit. And the battle from qualifying really quite intense earlier on, as the 4 drivers that we are sensing are going to be the championship combatants were really battling away in their qualifying session as well. And we did say going into this season that this title is going to be fought between 4 men: Freddie Slater, Arvid Lindblad, Max Dodds and Will McIntyre. And it's great to see those 4 in the top 4 positions of time qualifying, because the racing between those guys is seriously intense right now. And it's great to see how these guys are likely to battle away around the circuit. We'll see some fantastic racing from them over the course of proceedings. But there are very good many drivers in this field who will want to prove that they have just as good an opportunity to win races and the championship, of course, as the season goes on. The likes of Sam Shaw and Luke Watts, the 2 other seeded drivers in this field who were in the top 10 last year. You've got everybody from Harley Keeble to Max Hall to Brandon Carr to Vinnie Phillips to Aidan Neat to all of these incredible drivers just on the lower haul of these particular drivers in the top 4. There are so many races with a chance to break into that top 6, and not so many who are going to reach the podium if the top 4 is anything to go by. It's very intense between those 4, and they know who they are. But Freddie Slater at the O-plate from pole position, Arvid Lindblad and Maxwell Dodds. Will McIntyre was in that top 4 for a long time, but then, of course, Aidan Neat and Vinnie Phillips displaced him in the end of qualifying. Harry Jr. Burgoyne, the local man, in 7th, along with Brandon Carr, Charlie Rippin and Leo Robinson, the 3 rookies in the top 10. Great to see them so high up. Harley Keeble, Ashton Hodgson, Sam Shaw, Luke Watts, Ian Aguilera, and then Maximus Hall finishing it off there with Ella Stevens, Bart Harrison, Archie Clark and Oliver Wright, Max Barrow and Monda Juni Canini, Luke Stendler, Alex O'Grady, Jack Younger and William Go. So the drivers still pushing on very hard indeed. They'll work their way around the circuit to get the tyres and brakes up to temperature as we get ready for the Army Cadet Heat. And of course, it will be very, very strong between these drivers. We've already seen 2 epic contests in the final, as it were, in each meeting at PF International and Wilton Mill. I'll go on record and say that the final race of the weekend at PF International was the greatest cadet race I have ever seen. However, this is Larkhall, and we don't do things by halves at the West of Scotland Karting Club, so let's see how the battle will commence for the Army Cadets. They all look fairly relatively good in positions, so I think we should be able to go racing this time, as the drivers will get themselves sorted around that final turn. Looks like it's going to be a clean start, and we are racing! Cracking start at the front of the grid for Freddie Slater, and Max Dodds is going to go straight through in a 2nd position. Good start as they work their way through turn 1 and up towards the hairpin. Looks like a clean start as they make their way down towards that hairpin turn. Just looking to see if there are any major dramas in the hairpin for the first time round. I don't see any marshals squabbling to get down to an incident, so I think we're all okay. Through the square right, back into our sight. And at the front, it's the O-plate. Freddie Slater, who leads the way early doors. Up the inside comes the 87. A cracking start from Vinnie Phillips to try and move into 2nd place. But Max Dodds holds him off, and that's going to put Phillips wide. Arvid Lindblad goes through in a 3rd position. Phillips is going to have to hang on there in front of Will McIntyre. But a cracking start to the racing here in the Army Cadet as they come through at the end of the lap. It's Freddie Slater in the O-plate. Then it is the 3rd place man. That is Max Dodds making the move at the inside. McIntyre gets past Vinnie Phillips into turn 1. Then it's Neat, Watts, Burgoyne, Carr, Keeble, Rippin, Robinson, Shaw, Hall, Aguilera, Hodgson, Harrison, Canini, Stevens, Clark, Sintler, Barrow, Younger, Wright, Go and O'Grady. Terrific start to the Army Cadets. They really have gone away with gusto, and now the Oliver Rowland Motorsport game plan is beginning in earnest as we've got Dodds and Lindblad battling away for position as they charge after Freddie Slater. And this was all in the part of the plan as far as they were concerned. Will McIntyre trying to go with them, but with the Oliver Rowland Motorsport drivers splitting the fusion pair that were at the front in the last 2 meetings, this is game on as far as Dodds and Lindblad are concerned. So they can charge after Freddie Slater in the O-plate out in front. Okay, so we're just getting an official beside me who is reminding the mechanics on the main straight, you need to make sure that you are not signalling as the drivers come through. So just a reminder from the race officials up here in race control, no signalling down the main straight for the mechanics. Thank you very much. And of course, there are penalties being handed out and sanctions for teams that decide to ignore this, but you are not to signal as the drivers come through. So, Freddie Slater in the O-plate, running well out in front. Maxwell Dodds and Arvid Lindblad working together in second and third position. Fourth place, Will McIntyre. Vinnie Phillips and Aidan Neat, fifth and sixth place. Great racing as the drivers come through. Terrific battling. Seventh position is now the 10 plate. Harry Jr. Burgoyne is behind Luke Watts in eighth. Then it's Brandon Carr, Leo Robinson, Sam Shaw from Maximus Hall, Charlie Rippin. And there's one man who's ended up at the back. That's Luke Sintler. So Luke Sintler, I think, has come off at the final turn. Yep, that is Luke Sintler, and he's absolutely devastated. The car is buried in the wood shavings. He's not going to be able to get that out of position easily. And the front nose cone is very badly bent as well. So he's going to rejoin, but down at the back of the field. And that is a real shame for Luke Sintler. He was having a good start to his race there. But Slater, Dodds and Lindblad, and then McIntyre has fallen back in with Phillips and Aidan Neat. Then in there as well as the 10 of Watts, and Burgoyne is in 8th place. Then it's Carr and Robinson. Oh, that's a switch of positions between the two ORM karts. The Oliver Rowland Motorsport team swap positions. That's Arvid Lindblad now in front of Maxwell Dodds. They're going to work together to charge after the O-plate Freddie Slater. The game plan is working. And Max Dodds, having moved across to the Oliver Rowland Motorsport team, choosing to work with Arvid Lindblad. Their game plan is absolutely spot on the mark as they chip away at Freddie Slater's lead, the O-plate. But Freddie Slater still very much in command at the moment here at Larkhall. The Fusion trio behind working well. That is McIntyre, Phillips and Neat. And there's a warning flag going out. Now that is to the 24. That is Ashton Hodgson. So not quite sure what the leading privateer has done wrong. But I'm guessing that's for track limits. So he'll just need to be very careful of his apexes. Lindblad and Dodds, second and third, chasing down Freddie Slater. Then it is McIntyre, Phillips, Neat, Watts, Burgoyne, Carr and Robinson. Brandon Carr and Leo Robinson currently battling to be the leading rookie. Then it is Sam Shaw from Maximus Hall, the Gladiator, Charlie Rippin, Mondi Junior Canini, Bart Harrison, Ian Aguilera, Ashton Hodgson. Great to see them all in position. Archie Clark and Oliver Wright, Max Barrow and Harley Keeble. Ella Stevens 21st at the moment. Then it is 22nd, sorry. Then it's Younger, Go, O'Grady, and of course Sintler in the Evolve Motorsport kart. Still going strong, trying to work his way back to the front again. But he'll have to do that in the second heat. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to make up places here. So the O-plate, Freddie Slater leads the way with 3:22 on the clock. Lindblad and Dodds. Will McIntyre's dropped down a long way. What's happened to Will McIntyre? There he is. He's lost a lot of places. And that looks to me like he's had an incident there in the final sector and in the... Yes, it was. No, it was the middle sector Will McIntyre had a problem. So I didn't see that, unfortunately. I was too busy focusing on the battles around. But Slater leads from Lindblad. McIntyre falls all the way down to 13th behind Maximus Hall. Still the Oliver Rowland Motorsport karts of Lindblad and Dodds trying to get after Freddie Slater in the O-plate. And the 37 there getting very racy. Leo Robinson on the back of the number 71. I think that is of, it might be the 21 actually, of Charlie Rippin as they battle away for position. Up the inside, that's a great little move in the final turn for Brandon Carr, who makes the move on Vinnie Phillips and gets up. Well, that's on Harry Jr. Burgoyne. Sorry, Burgoyne has gone down to 8th place because both Phillips and Carr have got through. Sam Shaw is 9th. Charlie Rippin is in 10th place in the 21 ahead of Leo Robinson now. From Maximus Hall, Will McIntyre, MJ Canini, Harrison Aguilera, Hodgson, Wright, Keeble, Barrow, Stevens, Younger, Go, O'Grady, and Archie Clark, it looks to me, has got involved in some kind of incident there and has dropped sadly down into 25th position. But if you don't try, you don't win. As Vinnie Phillips goes for the move on the inside of the 10. That was very tight indeed there on Luke Watts and has gone through. So that is Vinnie Phillips making the move on Luke Watts, and I'm not sure Luke will be too happy about that one. Made that move from quite a long way back. But Freddie Slater's got pressure from Arvid Lindblad, who's closing him up. He's just done the fastest lap of the race, Arvid Lindblad, to close up on Freddie Slater. There's going to be a great opportunity to go for the victory now. He's catching him. The gap is down to just 0.48 of a second. So several drivers still fighting in this part of the race as they all still squabble for positions. Archie Clark comes across the line. Still a lot of time to make up, but it's not done and dusted yet. We've still got a minute and a half plus a lap on the clock as the warning flag goes out to Vinnie Phillips. That has got to be for his move on Luke Watts, the number 10. Obviously, the officials thinking that was a little bit too cheeky. He doesn't want to do that too many times. So just a warning for that one. Across the line will come the two leaders, Freddie Slater and Arvid Lindblad. And then the third is Maxwell Dodds. They are all still very close together. Aidan Neat in fourth. Vinnie Phillips, Luke Watts, Brandon Carr, Sam Shaw, Harry Jr. Burgoyne, Rippin, Robinson, Hall, McIntyre, Canini, Harrison Aguilera, Hodgson, Keeble, Wright. Then Stevens now ahead of Barrow. So Ella Stevens has made the move up into 20th. Then it's Barrow, Younger, Go, O'Grady, Archie Clark and Luke Sindler. But at the lead of the race, there is going to be an interesting battle here because Lindblad's in front. Lindblad's got through on the far side of the circuit. Goodness me. He was half a second, well, it was 0.2 of a second behind him. Now Lindblad has gone for the move and taken the lead. Great work from Arvid Lindblad to get himself into the lead of this race with Freddie Slater in second and Max Dodds in third. So now the battle is really going to be joined between these two up front. But Lindblad hits the front for the first time. Once again, a warning. I've just been told by the officials. A warning once more to the guys on the wall. Please make sure you're not giving any signals. There should not be any signals given to drivers as the drivers come through. Apologies, but that is the rules. As Ella Stevens goes for the move. Oh, a very late lunge there on the inside of Max Barrow and gets through into P20. Nice move from Stevens in turn one. And here's the battle for the lead. Lindblad versus Slater. Slater still hovering around all over the back of Arvid Lindblad. This is going to be interesting as the drivers battle through. But Freddie Slater wanting to get back one over on Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad is in defence mode because we're running out of time and we're about to go into the last lap. The time has gone down to 0 on the clock. And now we've got one more lap. Last lap here at Larkhall for the first heat of the weekend. Lindblad just checking his line to see where Slater's going. Dodds is coming with them. And that's the number 10 of Watts through into 6th place past Brandon Carr. So a good bit of overtaking there as Harry Jr. Burgoyne has gone down to 11th position on that last couple of laps. Not sure what happened, but he's dropped a long way down from where he was. So now it's time for the victory day as Arvid Lindblad, Freddie Slater and Maxwell Dodds will battle for it. Here comes Slater. He's got a good run. Arvid Lindblad is moving to cover in the left-hand hairpin. Max Dodds is closing up on a pair of them as he does so. So this could be a really interesting end to the race as Freddie Slater's fighting to find a way through. He can't get there. And Arvid Lindblad is going to move to cover and hold him off. They've got just one final hairpin and there's going to be a chance to move forward, but Slater's not going to be able to find the room. Arvid Lindblad is going to take the flag. Great win. Lindblad wins it from Slater and Dodds. Terrific race. Neat is 4th position. Then it is Vinnie Phillips who comes home in position. Watts in 6th position. Sam Shaw comes home in 7th place. Then it's Brandon Carr from Charlie Rippin and Leo Robinson. Harry Jr. Burgoyne is 11th place from Maximus Hall. Then Will McIntyre, MJ Canini, Harley Keeble, Oliver Wright, Ashton Hodgson, Bart Harrison, Ian Aguilera and Ella Stevens rounding out the top 20 from Max Barrow and Jack Younger, Alex O'Grady, William Go, Archie Clark, and no doubt a very frustrated Luke Sindler. But it's a glorious victory for Arvid Lindblad, who defended beautifully in the final 2 laps, took the lead at exactly the right moment, held the roof to cover it, and the first blood is given to the Oliver Rowland Motorsport team and their driver, Arvid Lindblad, runner-up last year, hoping to be champion in 2018. And he started his attack on this weekend in exactly the right way. Well, good start to proceedings then in our Army Cadet. We knew it was going to be feisty. We knew there was going to be a great battle, but that really did surpass expectations. So some of those cadets will now have a bit of a breather as they get ready for the race afternoon. They might want to have a breather by getting some more laps in, which they can't do, of course, on the circuit, but they can on the kart sim, which is down in the race clubhouse. But the kart sim is there, and they're actually doing a lap of the circuit. For those who are unaware, they're doing virtual laps of the circuit. There's a competition going on to see who is the fastest, and they're not using this layout of the Larkhall circuit. They're using this layout plus the extension that they are intending to get funding for to extend the circuit out a little bit further up by the second sector. Basically, they want to send the cars to turn to turn left off the back straight and then go further up the long straight in behind the trees and then come back on itself to rejoin the circuit before the square right into the hairpin section. It's an amazing extension of the circuit, and for a lot of the classes, it will add a good 20 seconds to the lap. So we're really hoping at the West of Scotland Karting Club to get funding for it. And obviously, if the drivers at Super 1 Series are approving of it, then that will give a little bit more weight to the application for funding. So if any Super 1 drivers are willing to pay a testimony basically to say, yes, we like the extension, we want the extension to stay in place from the virtual version of the circuit that's on the kart sim, that's in the clubhouse, then the more endorsements the better, and it will help the support for the application to extend the circuit. But that is how things have gone in the Army Cadets. Next up, it's the Mini X's as they get ready for their first race of the weekend.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
And what a battle it's set to be in Mini X30 as well, because we've got some very talented racing drivers to talk about here from their position in qualifying. All 11 of them very closely matched. Rashan Chigarimbo and Ivan Lomliev will be on the front row of their starting grid, with Joshua McLean and Joshua Rowledge making it a second row for the Joshuas. Cian Shields, local man, in 5th position on the grid from Aaron Walker, the first of the drivers for Kato Motorsport. Then we have the privateer for Team Dulux, Jacob McComb in 7th position, the young man from Chester. And alongside him, it is Daniel Bolton in the second of the Kato Motorsport karts. Then in 9th and 10th on the grid, we have Jessica Edgar for Fusion, Harvey Ryby for Kato Motorsport, and at the back for Mick Barrett Racing is Oliver Duffel. So the drivers then in position as we will get the race underway in a little under 45 seconds time or so, as the drivers will get themselves into position. A lot of the drivers from the other classes, of course, watching this Mini X30 Championship race. It's not actually an officially registered championship in 2018, although, of course, if things go well over the course of this season, that is probably going to change for the 2019 season. This is almost mirroring what the European class is like for Mini X30, and there are a couple of very strong drivers out there in Europe doing good stuff in this particular class. But good to see that the contingent for talent in this particular championship is very strong, with the likes of Chigarimbo, Lomliev, McLean, Rowledge, Shields, Walker, McComb, Bolton, Edgar, Ryby and Duffel. And that's the order they head out onto the circuit. 11 karts will battle around this circuit in gusto. There's a little miniature prize on offer as well for the leading privateer. And it's going to be an interesting one to see if Jacob McComb can get that one, the young man from Chester. That would be a nice trophy to take away with at the end of the weekend. And he will be battling for that one. Rashan Chigarimbo for the Jade Racing team will start the race from pole position with his closest battle from that first part of proceedings, Ivan Lomliev. Now, what has happened to Rashan Chigarimbo? What has happened to Rashan Chigarimbo? The 92... I thought he was out of position there, but it looked as though he had just fallen himself into position. I do apologise. I gave them a bit of a heart attack on the main straight. I do apologise. I couldn't see him, but he had basically Ivan Lomliev had overshot, but Chigarimbo had slammed on the brakes, maybe trying a bit of gamesmanship and tactics there. But the karts are now all in position. All 11 of them are around the circuit, and they are going to get going again. But Ivan Lomliev alongside Rashan Chigarimbo at the start. It'll be an interesting one to try and overhaul him, because Rashan in the Jade Racing team kart is going to get that inside line, and it's a cracking start, and straight through to second goes Josh McLean, and through to third goes Cian Shields. Cracking start from those two on the inside line in behind Chigarimbo. So it's Chigarimbo, McLean, Shields, Lomliev, Rowledge, and I think that was McComb in front of Aaron Walker initially at the start. So we'll see how they manage to fly their way through the far side of the circuit. But Rashan Chigarimbo in the lead in the early stages. Right behind him, that is the 22. Is it? No, sorry, that is still the 76 of McLean. Then it is Cian Shields. The 14 is next. That's Josh Rowledge, who's moved himself up into P4. And the battle joined behind him. That is Aaron Walker, having held onto his position behind Ivan Lomliev and in front of Jacob McComb. Then Dan Bolton is being chased down. Dan Bolton is chasing down. Well, he was being chased down. Now he's going to have some support from Harvey Ryby, because Dan Bolton has got Jessica Edgar and Oliver Duffel having both got through. So it's Chigarimbo, McLean, Shields, Rowledge, Lomliev, Walker, McComb, Edgar, Duffel, Bolton and Ryby at the moment. They come back into view once again. On the far side, this is a great challenge from McLean. Up to third position has come Rowledge. Rowledge has made the move. So too has Lomliev on Cian Shields. So Shields, the Flying Scotsman, down to 5th position for the moment. But there's a chance for him to fight back, as he's joined Fusion Motorsport this weekend. He wants to do well on home turf, so he's going to charge forward. Here comes the battle once again for Chigarimbo and Josh McLean. A nice move there, a massive lunge from Ivan Lomliev to get into third position on Josh Rowledge. Great move from the Bulgarian Ivan Lomliev. Superb move there in a third position. Great run, and that puts him up into the top 3. So 4 different teams in the top 4 places. Jade Racing, Fusion, Coles and Strawberry. Chigarimbo, McLean, Lomliev and Rowledge. 5th position is Kean Shields, then it's Aaron Walker, then it's Jacob McComb, then Jessica Edgar, and then we've got those 3 towards the back. Oliver Duffel, Dan Bolton and Harvey Ryby. Up towards the final turn. A good run through the inside line. This is going to be a very tough challenge because we've got a new change of leader. I missed that. My apologies. Josh McLean had got through at the hairpin past Rashan Chigarimbo. So McLean is now the leader. McLean from Chigarimbo, Lomliev, Rowledge, Shields, Walker, McComb, Edgar Duffel, Bolton and Ryby. Down the far side of the circuit, up past the trees once again. Chigarimbo starting to get a bit of a pressure onto Josh McLean once more in the lead of the race. Can he make a move into the hairpin? He's not quite close enough. Lomliev going with them. Rowledge in there in 4th position. Kean Shields is next up. Then it is Aaron Walker pushing very hard indeed in the 15. Working very hard there in the 6th position slot. As the battle continues on in the Mini X30s. He's got company from Jacob McComb, the young man from Chester. Through that first corner, the 7 have broken clear. Jess Edgar's got Oliver Duffel, I should say. Dan Bolton and Harvey Ryby continuing on behind. But up they come up out of the hairpin. It's that leading battle that's getting closer. Chigarimbo's taken the lead in the hairpin. McLean's going to try and take it straight back again into the right-hander. And he has done so. And that's allowed McLean to get a break. And through in a second has come Lomliev. So Chigarimbo initially taking the lead back of the hairpin. And there's a spin. That's Oliver Duffel. So Duffel spins into the first of the hairpins in the second sector. Big problem for him. And up to the lead again comes Lomliev. Lomliev takes the lead in the final turn. So great battle is now back into the lead again. Goes McLean and Lomliev gets snaked out. Goodness me, there's overtaking for the lead in gusto. Everybody wants to lead this one. Superb racing at the front of the field. We've had turns in the lead from almost everybody in the top 5. Lomliev's there. McLean's there. Chigarimbo's there. Rowledge is trying to get in there as well into the top 4. He's there in 4th position. We've got a charge after us as well as Rowledge is going to try and go right round the outside of Chigarimbo. That was brave. It didn't work, but goodness me. Pure courage for trying to make it happen. But Lomliev is your leader. Second is Josh McLean. Now he's going to try and get the move on the inside. Rowledge trying to cut through in a 3rd position. There's a little bit of rubbing for position and Aaron Walker's through. Up past Kean Shields. Kean Shields is now going to try and make the move. Rashan Chigarimbo's down to about 6th position. So it's Lomliev, McLean, Rowledge, Shields, Walker, Chigarimbo, McComb, Edgar, Bolton, Ryby and Duffel. What a battle this is turning into in the Mini X30s. Definitely the race of the day thus far. And there was already some pretty great battles in the earlier one. Now we've got, is that McLean in the lead? Now it's still Lomliev, then McLean, then Rowledge. Shields in 4th, Walker is 5th, Chigarimbo 6th in front of McComb. These 7 have definitely got a little bit of a gap between themselves and Jess Edgar in 8th position. And they're still swapping the lead. Any one of these 7, for my money, could get in the top 3. Rowledge is there, the championship leader, in 3rd position in front of Kean Shields. Walker still holds 5th position. Great run from him in front of Chigarimbo and McComb. Still great racing, still great battling, and still an amazing crop of overtakes as McLean closes up on Ivan Lomliev once again. Through the right-hander, Lomliev going full guns blazing in the lead of this race. McLean is close to him. Rowledge there in 3rd position. Absolutely amazing stuff. Kean Shields in 4th place as well, trying to move his way forward on home turf. He wants to set up a victory. Into the hairpin. 5th place Walker, 6th place Chigarimbo, 7th place Jacob McComb. So a great run here. Edgar in 8th, Bolton 9th, Ryby 10th and Oliver Duffel still trying to keep in the hunt after his little excursion at the hairpin. He's still going and his lap times are pretty good. His sector times really quick in the 2nd sector to try and close down the gap. But here comes the battle for the victory once again, and it's led by Ivan Lomliev. 2nd place, Josh McLean. 3rd, Josh Rowledge. 4th, Kean Shields. They're dropping the rest as Chigarimbo's got into 5th position. Past Walker and ahead of Jacob McComb. So now there's a split. 4 and 3. The top 4 and then the battle for 5th position as McComb runs behind Walker trying to chase down Chigarimbo. But the top 4 have definitely got clear. So it's Lomliev, McLean, Rowledge and Kean Shields. Then there's a gap to Chigarimbo, Walker and Jacob McComb. Edgar, Bolton, Ryby, and then a few seconds back is Oliver Duffel. So is there still going to be one final roll of the dice in the battle for the victory in this first heat? The drivers will want to score as many points as they can from this heat to move things further forward. A great tussle as the drivers continue to work their magic through the S's, through the hairpins. This is very tight indeed from the top 4 drivers as they continue to work away. So out of that final turn, looking really good for Ivan Lomliev in the lead of the race as they continue to charge forward. Rashan Chigarembo in 5th place in front of Walker and McComb as they continue to battle for 5th position, but Lomliev, McLean, Rowledge and Shields continue their work in the top 4. Chigarimbo's the one who got held up there and is down to 5th position, as after that the 4 drivers in the top 4 are in the same order that they were in, but it's for 1st down to 4th rather than 2nd down to 5th. If that makes any sense, I wasn't telling it right. Anyway, through the left, through the right in the hairpin complex of the 2nd sector, into sector 3, and Rowledge is looking a little bit feisty now on the back of Josh McLean, as by my mathematics, as they cross the line this time, we're only going to have 2 laps to go, and only just. My word, that was very tight, but Lomliev is going to have 2 laps to go by my money. Now, Aaron Walker is on the back of Chigarimbo trying to go for the move. Dan Bolton, meanwhile, has got onto the back of Jess Edgar and made the overtake up into 8th position. So a good move there from Dan Bolton to break into top 8. And the lead is getting away. Here comes Rowledge trying to make the move on McLean. McLean is defending like crazy. I think he's given up on the win. That's Ivan Lomliev making the break. And I think now the battle is for 2nd place. Cian Shields trying to get up on the inside of Josh Rowledge. The Flying Scotsman still has another attack or 2 up his sleeve for sure as we go into the last lap. Lomliev's got a bit of a gap, a massive gap in fact, so surely this is Lomliev's race to lose as they come through. 2nd position is where the battle will happen, and it's between Josh McLean, Josh Rowledge and the Flying Scotsman himself, Cian Shields. Then it's Chigarimbo, Walker and McComb still battling for 5th place. Dan Bolton's made a bit of a break on Jess Edgar, but not by much. Ryby is 10th and Duffel is 11th. They come into the final couple of corners of the race, and it's anybody's guess for 2nd. Shields has still got a lot to do. Rowledge is trying to go the very long way round to try and cut back for the undercut. It's not going to happen, and it's going to open the door for Cian Shields. Shields is going to try and come through. Rowledge forces his way to hold the position. Lomliev gets the flag. He gets the win. But for 2nd, it's anybody's guess. Rowledge is going to try and beat McLean to the flag. He's not going to get there. McLean 2nd. Rowledge 3rd. Shields 4th from Chigarimbo, Walker and McComb. Bolton is 8th. Edgar is 9th from Ryby and Oliver Duffel. Well, Ivan Lomliev absolutely monstering away from the field. A fantastic break, and that was where he needed to gain the advantage. Beautifully done to the tune of 2.9 seconds. Lomliev makes the break and checks out and gets the first win of the weekend. The Coles Racing driver, the Ivan Lomliev steam train, charging forward, but a great race behind from McLean, Rowledge and Cian Shields. Chigarimbo, Walker and McComb very much involved in that one throughout as well. But a great run from them all. And any one of those 7 drivers could have been on the top of the dais. But a great race and a great run. Brilliant stuff from Mini X30. I think we're seeing plenty of evidence to suggest that this class is definitely deserving of championship status in 2019. So I think that sort of a race will definitely give drivers consideration, a little bit more consideration to what happens in the 2019 campaign, I should say. But very, very good signs aplenty for this particular championship. All going very well and no major problems from that point of view. Great racing and great battling. So to any of you who are listening wherever you are in the world via Downforce UK's Spreaker feed, do send us a message for whoever you're supporting through the course of the weekend. We'll get that out over the live radio stream to all those around the circuit who want to catch up with the radio stream in their awnings as the day goes on. You can do that by downloading the application Spreaker, which is speaker with an R, Spreaker, to your tablets or your iPhones or your Android phones, whatever it might be. It's a free application. You download Spreaker and just search for Super One Series. It's as simple as that. You can listen to it live whenever it happens. And, of course, when it stops being live, you can listen back to any action that you missed. So you can go back and listen to all of the racing from PF International last month. And, of course, you can listen to each session as it happens over the course of the weekend here at Larkhall. Beautiful sunshine, gorgeous weather here at the West of Scotland Karting Club. There is barely a cloud in the sky at all, and the heat is absolutely superb around the circuit. All of the people who were prepared to come here with winter woolies, Wellingtons and scarf hats have been completely and totally outfoxed, as we've got sunbathing weather. And I'm sure there's going to be fair few people, racing drivers, spectators and hangers-on alike, who are going to walk away from here a bright orange, or even worse, a bright red. And that's really going to need the crisp and dry to come out and get you sorted. Anyway, no recommendations at all for deep heat either. Anyway, that's going to be a painful evening for somebody. We're going to get on with the race action in just a little over 2 minutes' time. The next action out on the circuit is going to be from Junior TKM. Racing excitement guaranteed.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Junior TKM 2018 set to be even more exciting and on the dial than it was in 2017, where we saw the first British champion of a National Super 1 Series championship in Abby Pulling. She is back in 2018 to defend her title, but already after qualifying, it looks like it's going to be a tough mission. Spencer Stevenson and Daniel Butterworth from the front end of the grid, having put in a fantastic run in qualifying. They will lead off the charge. From Abby Pulling and Oliver Richardson on the second row of the grid. Ben Watson and Connor Kearney will be on row 3. From Aston Wrigley and Louis Harvey, with Zach Oates and William Orton. Morgan Kidd, a fantastic 11th place on her debut in the championship, and Max Davies in the 6th row as well. Zach Taylor needing to make progress, and Dan McKeown alongside him on row 7. Ethan Newsham and Liam Hurrell, Joe Harrison and Archie Strong, Dominic Kilmister, Jensen Davis and Harry Yardley Rose. Really interesting grid for the first round of the championship in Junior TKM in 2018, and all of those drivers who braved the drive all the way up to Scotland surely will be rewarded in this fantastic weekend. Bone dry conditions. It's all going to come down to great strategy, great setup, and very sticky tyres, because of course the high intense temperatures of this Larkhall circuit has seen plenty of karts come off the circuit with tyre compounds very much the worse for wear, and in very much cheese on the top of pizza mode, with the rubber all over the place as the tyres have slowly started melting through the course end of the session. So that's how the drivers can look after their tyres as they start to fall away, how the strategy is going to work for each of these drivers as they pull into position. But Spencer Stevenson and Dan Butterworth from that front of the grid pulling a very pleasant surprise into this one, with the privateer Dan Butterworth alongside the new boy for Talco Racing, Spencer Stevenson, the rookie, coming in and being fastest, fresh out of the block. But will Abby Pulling find a way to get back through? She will have that inside line off the start for 3rd position, so there's still plenty of reason to keep the faith very strong indeed as they exit the pits. And we're going racing for the first time in 2018 for Junior TKM. It's the 3rd weekend for Super 1 in 2018, but it's the first meeting for Junior TKM in the 2018 season. And what a place to start. Larkhall. So it's going to be an interesting one for these guys as they battle away for position. Spencer Stevenson and Dan Butterworth on that front row. Abby Pulling and Oliver Richardson, another rookie, in the 2nd row. From Ben Watson and Connor Kearney, doing a great job at the end of the session to snatch the 3rd row. Then Aston Wrigley and Louis Harvey, Zach Oates and William Orton rounding out the top 10. From Morgan Kidd and Max Davies, Zach Taylor and Dan McKeown, Ethan Newsham and Liam Hurrell, Joe Harrison and Archie Strong. From Dominic Kilmister, Jensen Davis, and as we said before, Harry Yardley Rose, hoping to have a much stronger run in the races than he ended up having in the qualifying. So the drivers neatly into position. Formation looks reasonably good. I think we're going to get a clean start this time as the drivers come through. Let's double check. Yes, we do. And it's a cracking start from the inside line from Stevenson. Pulling doesn't get the draw on Dan Butterworth. He's going to have to slot into that 3rd position. Didn't get the best of starts, so has to remain in 3rd position for the moment. Red has gone this time, I think, so they're going to go round again. The lights initially going out, but they are going to go round one more time. So the start not as clean as it was. So the race is going to be reset, and the drivers have been given the signal on the far side. So one of those calls where the race got underway and then it was adjudged that was not a clean start. So we're going to have to go round again. So Stevenson, Butterworth, Pulling and Richardson, Watson and Kearney, Wigley and Harvey, Oates and Orton, Kidd and Davies, Taylor and McKeown, Newsham and Hurrell, Harrison and Strong, Kilmister and Davis, and then Yardley Rose. So the driver's now in position. That's much tidier. That's much neater. So I think this time we will go around and come over the line this time for a cleaner start. And from Abby Pulling's point of view, she will want a really fast start. It's getting a little bit hesitant on the far side. So let's see if this is a cleaner start this time. We go, the lights out, and we're racing. And this time it's a much stronger start from Pulling. He's going to try and make the move into Butterworth in the first corner. As the field jostles for position in the first 2 turns. I think we're okay in terms of track positions. But as the field goes through the hairpin for the first time, are there any yellow flags to speak of? Can't see any, so I think we're all right in the first hairpin, and they come through the square right. And it's time to see who's in the lead. It's Pulling! It's Pulling through into the lead already. And off the circuit, I think that was Spencer Stevenson in the 12. Yes, it was, dropping all the way down the order, losing a lot of ground, down to about 14th position or so for Spencer Stevenson. But Pulling is away, clearing the lead. Butterworth in second place. What a start. Absolutely amazing run from Abby Pulling. Taking the lead of her championship back with gusto in the first border call. Butterworth second from Richardson, Watson, Wigley, Oates, Harvey, Kearney, the big, one of the droppers in the field down to 8th place. Then Orton and McKeown, Spencer Stevenson 11th after that first lap from Morgan Kidd. Then it's Zach Taylor, Davies, Hurrell, Strong, Kilmister, Davis, Yardley Rose, Newsham and Harrison. Abby Pulling leads the way. Butterworth's got a much stronger run though, and Butterworth surely will take the lead. Good move from Dan Butterworth. Beautifully done out of the right square and into the first hairpin of the second sector. Butterworth leads the way. Pulling in second place. Third position going with them. The rookie Oliver Richardson, the privateer, running beautifully well as Butterworth leads. And now Pulling goes straight back through and takes the lead back in that first turn. So a great run from Abby Pulling as she gets into the lead once more from Butterworth and Richardson. Then Wigley in 4th place. Oates and Harvey. Kearney, Watson, Orton, McKeown, Kidd, Taylor, Davies, Strong and Hurrell. Spencer Stevenson's having a nightmare race. He's dropped down to 16th position now. From pole position all the way down the order. And here comes Richardson. Richardson makes the move on Butterworth. And that gives, look at that, Abby Pulling's got a bit of daylight between the two of them now. If she continues on that charge, she's never going to lose the lead. They've got to work together now. Butterworth in 3rd position, but look who's joined the party. It's Zach Oates. Zach Oates is up to 4th position and is now right on the back of the trio in the lead of the race. And I'm afraid it's Morgan Kidd who's gone down the order. Red flag, red flag. So there's an off into the... It's an off into the hairpin there, and it's Morgan Kidd, the 53, who's gone into the wall, and it's... was that a red flag I saw? No, it's yellow flags. My apologies. So a red flag initially came out, then it's a yellow flag. So it's because Morgan Kidd was able to get out of the car, but there was a quick flash of red because I'm not sure, but yellow flags did come out in the end. So it is a yellow flag of the race. But Abby Pulling leads the way. Richardson in 2nd place. Then it's Butterworth, Oates, Harvey, Wigley, Kearney, Watson, McKeown and Will Orton. That's your top 10. Then Taylor and Davies. Stevenson's making the way back up to 13th now. Then it is Strong, Kilmister, Davis, Yardley Rose, Harrison, Hurrell, Newsham. And sadly out of the race, as we know, is Morgan Kidd, who's recovered back to the pits. Up on the far side, we've got Pulling in the lead of the race, but for how much longer? Richardson's looking very feisty behind her. Butterworth in 3rd position. 4th is Zach Oates. Looks like the victory is going to be played out between these 4, but don't count out Louis Harvey in 5th position. Getting a little bit of gusto now. Is up into 6th position. That looks like Ben Watson has come through. Oh, sorry, that's Aston Wigley. Aston Wigley's come up into 6th in front of Connor Kearney. So the top 4 remains unchanged for the moment. But a good run this from Aston Wigley to get into get into P6, sorry. Spencer Stevenson's now back into 12th place. Has made the move on Max Davies. So a lot of charge to come back through. But some great racing in the initial stages of proceedings. And the wreckage of Morgan Kidd's cart in the barriers there at the final turn has now been moved away. Oh, and a spin! A spin there in the right-hander. That's a big mistake for Zach Oates. And that's dropped him back down the order. What a shame for Zach Oates. He slots back in front of the 34 of Jensen Davis. But Zach Oates from P4 drops it in the right-hander. So easy to do. And that's a nice move on the inside there, I think, from Dan McKeown to get the move there on Will Orton. So some good overtaking moves as the drivers battle for position. Some good race driving as the race continues on. But good to see how the battle continues on. So the battle is going on for the drivers to consider the race battle. Pulling is no longer leading. Well, I say that as she takes the lead back straight away from Oliver Richardson. So they're swapping positions for the lead. The top 3 drivers in position as they come through once again then. Abby Pulling, Oliver Richardson and Dan Butterworth. And then we have the 4th place battle led now by Louis Harvey in front of Ben Watson, who is charging hard from Wigley, McKeown, Kearney, Orton, Stevenson, Davies and Taylor. Then it's Strong, Kilmister, Oates, Yardley Rose, Davis, Harrison and Hurrell with Ethan Newsham running in the back. So an attention for all drivers. Army Cadets numbers 21, 37, 87 and 8 need to make their way to the steward's office, please. So that's cadets 21, 37, 87 and 8 need to make their way to the steward's office immediately, please. Thank you. So drivers up in the front. It's Pulling, Richardson and Butterworth having an amazing scrabble for position. The warning flag has gone out to the 45 of Zach Oates. And I'm guessing that's for track limits. That's a bit like punching someone in the gut when their nose is bleeding, but there's nothing really he can do about it except fight forward and push on. Up to 13th place now has come Zach Oates, so he's working his way back. But it doesn't make up for the fact that he's had that moment and lost ground. But Abby Pulling, Oliver Richardson and Dan Butterworth fighting for the lead of the race. Here comes Richardson making a good charge to Pulling. Pulling has held onto it though in the lead of the race, and that's a move for 5th position. Good dice between these two as Louis Harvey and Ben Watson have both been hoodwinked by Aston Wigley. Wigley's through to 4th place. Good move on that lap down to the hairpin. So Wigley's up at a P4 and up the inside for P6. That is Dan McKeown. McKeown makes the move for 6th position and gets it. No, he doesn't. Watson's going to come back. Now he gets it on the exit, and Connor Kearney put his nose on the inside to come back through once more. Terrific racing with just over a minute and a half plus 1 lap to go in this race. Really close battling once again in the Junior TKM with Abby Pulling, Oliver Richardson and Dan Butterworth battling for the lead. Still in this positions. 1, 2 and 3 as they charge forward. Aston Wigley's made a break for 4th position. Is trying to catch up with the 3 leaders up front. But I think it's these 3 who will fight for the victory without challenge. But they will challenge each other. Richardson closing up on Abby Pulling as they come through. 1 minute 12. By my money, that's 3 laps to go. Richardson trying to drop down Butterworth. They're pulling away these two, Richardson and Pulling, trying to edge further out in front to stop down Butterworth becoming a factor in this one. But Abby Pulling and Oliver Richardson from that second row of the grid have worked their way forward. Spencer Stevenson's on the comeback charge. He's up to 10th position. Same sort of story for the man who fell further down the order, Zach Oates. He's now up into 11th position. So Stevenson and Oates working together by the look of it to charge their way further forward. But both of those drivers out of position from where they were previously. But these 3 at the front, Pulling, Richardson and Butterworth, still out in position and looking good at the head of the field. 2 to go as they come round the final turn. So 2 laps to go in this first heat of the weekend for Junior TKM. Looking fine and dandy for the moment. Great racing, great challenges and great battles. They will continue on around this circuit, still giving each other gusto. But Pulling is your leader. Richardson second from Butterworth, Wigley, McKeown, Harvey, Watson, Kearney, Orton and Spencer Stevenson now breaks into the top 10 in front of Zach Oates. But here comes the charge. It's got to come now as Richardson knows Pulling is going to be very tough to get past. But we've got a lap and a half to go in this race and Butterworth's going to up the ante as well. Richardson in second position charging after Abby Pulling. Down to the hairpin, will he make a move? No, Pulling moves to cover, nicely done. So Pulling is going to cross the line with the lead still intact. But here comes Richardson, putting a big move on, pulling through that first couple of corners. Butterworth in there as well. Wigley still P4 from Harvey. Watson now in 6th position. McKeown 7th and Kearney, Orton, Stevenson and Oates. Great racing all the way to the flag, and we're on the last lap. Pulling still hanging on in front of Richardson. Butterworth trying to stay with them as they come into the square right. Richardson's got a good run on Pulling, but I'm not sure Abby Pulling's going to give him any space at all. So Pulling should hold on to the lead for the last part of the sector. Now into the third and final sector. Can she hang on into the final couple of corners? Richardson's going to come from a long way back. Pulling's going to defend like valiantly, but into the victory dais, it's Pulling who wins. Abby Pulling starts her title defence in majestic style in front of Richardson and Dan Butterworth. Aston Wigley fights valiantly to 4th position. Great race from him. 5th for Louis Harvey. Leading the charge from Ben Watson, Dan McKeown, Connor Kearney and Will Orton in there with Spencer Stevenson and Harry Yardley Rose, who fought his way up to 11th position. Great comeback from Harry Yardley Rose. 12th place for Max Davies. Then Zach Taylor and Zach Oates. A big disappointment for Zach. Then Jensen Davis, Liam Hurrell, Dominic Kilmister, Archie Strong, Joe Harrison, Ethan Newsham. And the very fast but very unlucky Morgan Kidd will now have to fight her way forward from the back of the grid in the next heat. But what a victory for Abby Pulling. making sure her title defense in 2018 starts off beautifully well. That is exactly how she wanted to get the season underway, and it's textbook as far as she is concerned. Great stuff from Abby Pulling, Richardson in second and Butterworth third. Well, that's the first heat of the weekend for the Junior TKMs out of the way. We head into Junior X30s next, and with the top quality field that we have seen over the course of the weekend thus far, there's no doubt in my mind that the Junior X30 race will be just as exciting and will give us plenty to talk about.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So as we get ourselves ready for the action once again, we will get a great race underway for the Junior X30s once more. Having had 2 rounds of the championship already, we know a little bit about the form book for the 2018 season, although here at Larkhall it could be a different matter for a few drivers trying to recover their early season form, and for a few others who are getting themselves settled into a very competitive field of drivers. They battle away for positions. It will be an exciting one. Lewis Gilbert, the home boy from the front of the grid with Nelson King. As far as Lewis Gilbert is concerned, that is where he rightfully expected to start the race from the front. And he's there on the front row of the grid. Alessandro Serenetti lines up on the second row with Lewis Thompson. And then we have Teddy Pritchard-Williams and Caden McQueen on that third row of the grid. Row 4 is going to be Josh Rattican and Clayton Ravenscroft. 2 world-class stars there on the fourth row of the grid. Axel Laflamme and Reggie Dewey for Kato Motorsport rounding out the top 10 there. Tyler Reed and Luke Whitehead on the 6th row. Then Matthew Hudson and Tom Edgar. That's Coles Racing and Fusion Motorsport respectfully on the 7th row. Casper Stevenson and Douglas Bolger are next. Then Louis Short and Sam Heading. Dragon Pinsent way down in 19th place, but that's just going to spurge a comeback as far as he's concerned, alongside Alex Walker. Then Oliver Gray and Joseph Taylor, Alex Lloyd and Rufus Hunt, Oliver Behrman and Dylan Cooper, Shane White and Theo Edgerton, Alex Moody, Sam Hawthorne, Max Meir and Alex Lay. That is your Junior X30 field for 2018, and it is incredibly well populated here for this weekend. A really exciting battle as the drivers work their way around in position. But it's going to be a very interesting one with 30 seconds before they're released out onto the circuit. And from the front of the grid, Lewis Gilbert will be wanting more than ever to hang on to his advantage. But from alongside him on the grid, it will be a strong charge from Nelson King, who was always at the front in the qualifying session and always likely to be a driver to nail his colours to the mast. But in behind Lewis Gilbert, hoping for a strong start, is the Italian Alessandro Serenetti. The family based out in Turin, but of course they race here in the UK, and they've been in England for a few years now, based over at Stratford-upon-Avon. And then we've got Thompson, Pritchard-Williams, McQueen, Radican, Ravenscroft, Laflamme and Dewey in the top 10. So this will be interesting to see how they go. Here we go racing. A cracking start to the race in earnest for these guys as they push out of the pits and hope for a good run. But the drivers will put themselves neatly into position as the drivers go for gusto. Lewis Gilbert, Nelson King, Alessandro Serenetti, Lewis Thompson, Teddy Pritchard-Williams, Caden McQueen, Josh Radican, Clayton Ravenscroft, Axel Laflamme and Reggie Dewey in that top 10. It'll be interesting to see who emerges from that top 10 battle. And Lewis Gilbert is going to leave them very little time indeed to form up as he holds them at the end of the second sector. This could take a while to form up the grid because there's a lot of drivers, of course, in Junior X30. We may end up having to go around again, but we'll see how they form up. It's going to be an interesting one as they try and measure the pace at the front. There's going to be a couple of drivers only just getting into position. And are we going to get a clean start? We do. And it's a cracking start from Gilbert, and Serenetti gets in there, and it looks like Lewis Thompson's trying to cut across to move into the inside line as well. But from my money, that was Gilbert and Serenetti making their way through to the lead of the race. So Lewis Gilbert holds on to the lead in the early doors. And Serenetti, the E-plate, is there in second position as well. Already gesturing to the man in front, Lewis Gilbert. Let's pull away and get on with it. Lewis Thompson has come through into third position further back. And there's some cracking racing to go as Reggie Dewey goes round the outside of the 22 of Tyler Reed. And he's going to make that work and across the line. That is the 3 getting punted there as drivers are all over the place. I think it looks to me as though Reggie Dewey was run out of road there as he went over the grass. Meanwhile, Gilbert, Serenetti, the 79 of Thompson, Drivers continuing to push forward. A reminder to the mechanics on the straight, please no hand signals. It's not permitted. Please make sure there are no hand signals down the straight. So Gilbert, Serenetti, Thompson, King, Laflamme, Pritchard Williams, McQueen, Ravenscroft, Radican, Reed and Hudson in that opening lap. A little bit of the moment there from Reggie Dewey, dropping him down to 17th in the early stages. But there's somebody down at the back. That's Shane White in the Litchfield Motorsport car, who's nearly a lap down already. He's had an incident there on the first lap. But Gilbert, Serenetti, and the 79 of Lewis Thompson are your leaders at the moment as they go through. 1, 2, and 3. Fourth place with them is Nelson King. Then it's Laflamme, Pritchard Williams, Ravenscroft. A reminder again to the mechanics on the main straight. Please no hand signals as the drivers come through. It is not permitted. Please make sure you refrain from using hand gestures down the main straight. There's still a few mechanics not abiding by that. Thank you. So the leaders are through at the moment. We've got Gilbert, Serenetti, Thompson and King. Very closely matched together. The top 4 drivers still battling away for position. Might be worth keeping an eye. So the drivers come through into the hairpin as they come through the final time. And still the 29 battling forward as we've got drivers pushing through, continuing to battle away through that long streak of the drivers on the far side. But it's Gilbert, Serenetti, Thompson, King, Laflamme, Ravenscroft up to 6th place now from Pritchard Williams, McQueen and Ratican. Then Tyler Reed rounds out the 10. Whitehead in 11th place, Hudson, Louis Short, Dragon Pinson, Casper Stevenson, Reggie Dewey, Sam Henning, Tom Edgar, Oliver Gray and Rufus Hunt. Bulger is in 21st from Walker, Lloyd, Edgerton, and then the rest of the field charging through. But out in front, we still have this battle as Lewis Thompson has made the move to 2nd place now in front of Alessandro Serenetti as they come through this time. Lewis Gilbert's going to be leading the way, and we've got somebody off on the far side of the circuit. So there's the 54 having gone off. That is Theo Edgerton. So Edgerton's had an off there on that lap. That's a real shame for Edgerton. A really interesting battle for the drivers as they continue to battle away down the straight. On the back straight, they will come back up towards the square right. We've got a few drivers off that time. So who was that? That looks like Alex Moody has had a moment there, unfortunately, in the 88 and has come off the circuit and is now pulled into the pits. A real shame for him. And who's that coming through? That's the 66. So that is Max Meir. So the Welshman and Alex Moody have had a bit of an incident there, the two of them together. And as they continue to battle away for position, great gusto as the drivers continue on. But great racing as the drivers continue to battle away for position. Lewis Gilbert leads the way. Lewis Thompson in 2nd. Alessandro Serenetti is 3rd. Up to 4th position comes Axel Laflamme. So Laflamme is working his way through the field very rapidly. Clayton Ravenscroft in P5. Then Nelson King, Pritchard Williams, Caden McQueen, Josh Radican and Tyler Reed. But Lewis Thompson has got right onto the back of Lewis Gilbert as they battle away for the lead of the race. So Lewis Gilbert out in front. Lewis Thompson in 2nd place. Up towards the final hairpin they come, and onto the lap once again. A great move from Ravenscroft up into P4 on the inside of Axel Laflamme and Alessandro Serenetti. Oh, Laflamme's already gone through to 3rd. My apologies. That's Ravenscroft and Serenetti battling away for P4. Serenetti did try a move to go back on the inside into turn 1. I'm not sure if he made the move stick or not, but that's Ravenscroft charging forward once again. Up into P4 at the line. It might be P5 by the time they come through. No, it's not. It's P4 once again. And there's an off. That's Nelson King. Nelson King's gone wide there in the 95. That's a real shame for Nelson King. Looked so strong at the start from the front row. But now Lewis Thompson's hit the front. Lewis Thompson in front of Lewis Gilbert. And the 47 Axel Laflamme through to 3rd position. A great start to racing now. So Lewis Thompson, Lewis Gilbert, Axel Laflamme, and there's contact into the barriers. That's Tom Edgar and the 99 have gone together there. Tom Edgar into the barriers at the Marshalls post. The 99 through as well. That's Louis Short. So 52, Tom Edgar and Louis Short, the 99, have come together there at the final turn, and it looks like we got somebody into the pits. Meanwhile, Gilbert's got the lead back again, and Laflamme's gone through into 2nd place. Great racing on the far side, and up the inside, Nelson King gets a great move to come back on the 4 of Dragon Pinson, who's charging his way forward. But Lewis Gilbert leads the race as they come through this time by, and no yellow flags on the main straight, so that was cleared pretty quickly. Amazing stuff. Gilbert, Laflamme, Thompson, Ravenscroft, Serenetti, McQueen, Pritchard Williams, Radican, Reed, Whitehead, King, Pinson and Hudson. And Tom Edgar and Louis Short, of course, out of the running now, as up to 26th place comes Oliver Behrman on the bottom of our timing screens. They're the ones that are still running around in the same group. Gilbert, Laflamme and Thompson. Those are your 3 leaders at the moment. The ones in jeopardy are Louis Short, Tom Edgar, Max Meir, Theo Edgerton, Alex Moody and Shane White, the latter three out of the race. So here comes the battle as the racers continue on, and there's a titanic squabble for 8th place. As up into 9th comes the 7. That is Luke Whitehead making his way through up into 9th position. Tyler Reed's gone through. Radican's dropped to 10th place. Dragon Pinson's in 11th at the moment. Great racing all around the circuit as Junior X30 gets particularly tasty. So into the square right to get back into the second sector comes Gilbert, Laflamme and Thompson. Laflamme looking very feisty for a move as he tries to get on the inside line. Lewis Gilbert still leads the way though. Lewis Thompson in 3rd position trying to come through. And in 4th place, that is Clayton Ravenscroft running around with the E-plate. Alessandro Serenetti, the Italian, who's trying again to get on terms with Ravenscroft at the hairpin. Laflamme goes for a move to come back onto the undercut of the race leader. McQueen up to 6th place now. Teddy Pritchard-Williams 7th. Reed is 8th. Then Whitehead, Radican, Pinson, Hudson, King, Dewey, Stevenson, Gray, Heading and Hunt. Alex Lloyd's up to 19th place now from Bulger, Joseph Taylor, Alex Walker, Sam Hawthorne, Alex Lay, Dylan Cooper and Oliver Behrman. And then following on the rest of the field, we've got Laflamme is leading. Laflamme is leading in front of Lewis Gilbert. He's taken the place. I was going to say Short and Edgar with Max Meir at the back of the field, but now we're looking back to the front because Axel Laflamme, for the first time this weekend, has hit the front of the race grid. So out of the final turn and over the line, Laflamme leads the way. Gilbert still right with him in 2nd place. Thompson in 3rd, then Ravenscroft, Serenetti and McQueen. Pritchard-Williams with them as well. Then it's the 8th place squabble, led by Reed, Whitehead, Radican, Pinson, Hudson, King and Stevenson. Dewey in there as well. Gray and Heading. And then Alex Lloyd, Rufus Hunt and Douglas Bulger. Superb racing as they continue to battle away along the home straight. And then on the far side of the circuit, Gilbert's back through. Thompson's going to make the bid for Laflamme. Laflamme was not prepared to move over, and Lewis Thompson just made the gap open up. Brilliant bit of racing for the pair of them, but Lewis Gilbert's been given a bit of breathing space, and up to 4th position has come Serenetti again. He's made the move on Ravenscroft. McQueen tries to goes for Ravenscroft, and Teddy Pritchard-Williams, the Welshman, has closed up. Terrific racing from these guys as we go into the penultimate lap of the race here in Junior X30, the first heat of the weekend, and that's a great move in the middle of the pack. That's Oliver Gray making the move on Alex Lloyd. So the Thule Motorsport driver moving up another place or two. They come into the square right. And Lewis Gilbert has the position in the lead of the race. Lewis Thompson and Axel Laflamme need to charge forward to move forward. Ravenscroft still 4th round the outside. McQueen nearly lost the place to Pritchard-Williams, who's trying to get through. And now Pritchard-Williams trying to get on the inside of McQueen. Had to bail out of it, but there's a move coming from Pinson. Pinson dives through up in the 10th position. Makes the move there on the 27 of Josh Radican. Good move from Pinson. Into the last lap we go. So hard to pick a part of the circuit to watch because every time you're looking at one part of the circuit, something else changes elsewhere. Some amazing driving, supreme racing and great kart control, but the leaders are coming through for the last time now. Lewis Gilbert's broken clear. The victory surely his, but Axel Laflamme and Lewis Thompson still battling away for 2nd place with Laflamme back into 2nd place, now defending the inside line. Ravenscroft and Serenetti running well there in 4th and 5th, and McQueen holding off Terry Pritchard-Williams, but it's Lewis Gilbert who takes the flag. He wins on home soil. 2nd place for Axel Laflamme in front of Lewis Thompson. Then Ravenscroft, Serenetti, McQueen and Pritchard-Williams, and the 8th place battle won by Tyler Reed. At the line, it's Josh Radican just in front of Matthew Hudson. Pinson is 11th. Then Nelson King, Luke Whitehead, Casper Stevenson from Reggie Dewey, Sam Heading, Alex Lloyd, Oliver Gray, Rufus Hunt, Joe Taylor, Alex Walker, Sam Hawthorne, then Dylan Cooper, Alex Lay, Oliver Behrman and Douglas Bulger, Louis Short, Tom Edgar and Max Meir. Amazing. Supreme racing and a great victory there out in front from Lewis Gilbert, the KR Sport driver, never looking threatened in the final couple of laps of the race. And Lewis Gilbert marching forward on home turf to bag valuable points, maximum points from the first heat. And a great run there from Lewis Gilbert with Axel Laflamme, Lewis Thompson, Clayton Ravenscroft and Alessandro Serenetti in the top 5 from McQueen, Pritchard-Williams, Reed, Radican and Hudson. Great racing in the top 10 there. Having a great battle and some great racing out there in the Junior X30s. Really exciting stuff and some great challenges from the drivers all the way throughout. But next up, if you thought that was great racing from the Junior X30s, we're going to get TKM and we're going to get Extreme.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So racing continuing on, and it's going to be an interesting one from the TKM Extreme. the senior TKM class, one of the most incredible racing championships in the Tito Money Super 1 British Karting Championships paddock. We always get magnificent racing from them, and we should get another fantastic race here today with Ross Deal and Ryan Cole on the front row of the grid for the first time this weekend. Louis Bevan and Cristiano Nardoni in the second run. Then Robert Wellham and Christian Briley ahead of Gavin Pitt and Sam Fowler, Matthew Taylor and Daniel Butcher-Lord rounding out the top 10. The first weekend of the season for the TKM Extreme here at the Summerlee Raceway, the West of Scotland Karting Club at Larkhall. Great racing guaranteed. And in the TKM Extreme grid, we're always going to get some feisty racing. Behind the top 10, we have Max Goldsmith and Theo Hesketh. Then Alex Rees and John Hogan. Sam Johns and Zach Bowen from Andrew Lawrence and Nathan Wells. James Whitaker and Lewis Wadley. Isaac March and David Brickley. Amy Duke, Chris Whitten, Alex Lemon and Jack Darton. So that is a very competitive field of incredibly talented drivers, all of whom have been racing around this circuit for the last 36 hours to get their practice setups, their qualifying tweaked and their racecraft honed. And now we are going to go racing for the first time in the 2018 season for TKM Extreme in Super 1. We're excited about how this is going to go, particularly considering it's still very unpredictable as to who's going to get the first race win of the season. We have plenty of drivers on this grid, all of whom are going to be incredibly closely matched, and we're not entirely sure from this top 10 who's going to have that ultimate break in the first race of the weekend. It will be very tight and the drivers will be incredibly close, but again, this is all about trying to build your weekend. You have to start from scratch inevitably. Once you've got qualifying out of the way, if you've done well and you're in the top 6, then you can basically just try and control the pace of the weekend from there. Anybody outside the top 6, well, not only do you have to roll your sleeves up, you have to keep confidence, keep the faith, and keep pushing. There's always that chance to come back. It's all about self-belief at this point. You know that the circumstances for why you're low down are not necessarily your fault. You've also got to remember that in this closer field, sneeze in the wrong direction and it will cost you 6 or 7 places in qualifying. So you have to be very careful about getting it all right, absolutely together. But racecraft is where you can really come good. Some drivers do really well in qualifying, others really struggle, but it's in racing and racecraft when they are really able to knuckle down and get into their own. And that's what we love about the TKM Extreme Championship. It paints that picture beautifully, as we see a good 12 to 15 drivers battling for the podium pretty much every single race weekend. They're not always there in the final opportunities to go for the win by the final, but into the weekend we know that there's a good dozen or so, even more than that sometimes, a dozen or so more drivers that can fight for that top end of the day. It's 20 seconds till they're released out on the circuit, and this is when we'll find out who has got the best start to the weekend from the TKM Extremes. Ross Deal, the Welshman, on pole position. Alongside him, Ryan Cole from Louis Bevan and Cristiano Nardoni, the leading privateer on the second row of the grid. Really exciting stuff with Rob Wellham on the inside line on the third row from Christian Briley. Rob Wellham's one to watch in this one, I think. From that inside line, Rob Wellham might have the chance to sweep through and get all before him. He's got a great chance to get into that top 3 and start from gusto. We'll see what he does from the inside line as the drivers are released. So they head out onto the circuit for more cracking racing from the TKM Extreme. Race 7 of the weekend, race 13 of the day, and with plenty more races tomorrow to come. 30 races in total by the time we're done. Only 13 of them today, which means 17 races tomorrow. So we've got a lot of action to come over the course of the next few hours. And of course, we are racing all the way to the end of the day. It's just before the 6 o'clock mark here this afternoon at Larkhall in Scotland. And that front row of the grid is very interesting indeed. Ross Deal and Ryan Cole with Louis Bevan and Cristiano Nardoni, the leading rookie and leading privateer, on the second row of the grid. Rob Wellham and Christian Briley, Gavin Pitt and Sam Fowler, Matthew Taylor and Dan Butcher-Lord in the top 10. And then we have Goldsmith and Hesketh, Rees and Hogan, Johns and Bowen, Lawrence and Wells, Whitaker and Wadley, Marsh and Brickley, Duke, Whitten, Lemon and Darton. And as the TKM Extreme field forms up in position around the circuit, they will filter out of that final hairpin and we will go racing in earnest. One kart left behind. We'll be at full racing speed by the time we get started, but we are racing, and it's a cracking start from the front of the grid. A terrible start from the front of the grid on the far side. So that is not the best of starts for Ryan Cole, and it's impeded the likes of Nardoni, Brierley, Fowler, Butcher Lord, and the rest of them on that far side. But it's Deal who leads off from Bevan and Wellham. We did say Rob Wellham on the inside line might have a chance to move forward, but I don't think he thought it was that easy. Wellham going for second place. Wellham through into P2 already. He is absolutely on it. So Rob Wellham charges through to second position as we've got a lot of jostling in the mid-pack. A good move around the outside there from the 73 of John Hogan to try and hold track position. And that protects him nicely in the midfield as the races continue to charge forward. But out in the lead of the race, it is still your pole man, the 11 Ross Steele. But Wellham's now second from Bevan in third. Cole, Nardoni, Brierley, Fowler, Pitt, Taylor, Reese, Hesketh, Butcher Lord and Goldsmith. The only one who's not come through at the end of the first lap is Sam Johns. So I have a feeling that Sam Johns may have gone out of the race, down to the hairpin. Didn't see him come through. He's in the pits, actually, I'm being told. So Sam Johns, I'm afraid, out of the race, having not started by the look of it. So Ross Steele and Rob Wellham battling away, and Rob Wellham's taken the lead there in the second hairpin of the second sector. Nice move as Rob Wellham hits the front for the first time in this race on only lap 2. So Wellham looking to lead the race by example and charge away with the assistance of Ross Steele. Louis Bevan third from Ryan Cole. Nardoni, Brierley, Fowler, Pitt, Taylor, Reese. Looks like David Brickley's now had the best of laps. He's fallen down a few places on that lap. But great racing elsewhere, and particularly from Wellham and Deal out front. Louis Bevan third from Cole and Nardoni. Brierley in P6 from Fowler, Pitt, Taylor, Reese and Theo Hesketh. Just a whisker outside the top 10. Well, there's plenty of time still to go here at Larkhall as they work their way through the right-hander and then through the left-hander, the two hairpins at the end of the second sector into sector 3. And we got a little bit of jostling for position as up the inside. That's a bit of a brave bit of overtaking there in the mid-pack from the 74 James Whitaker, putting a few choice moves there in the middle of the field as he works his way through, finds an angle and is able to fight his way through. So a good bit of racing there from James Whitaker. And that's put him up into 18th place out of all of that duking for position. Dan Butcher-Lord really has drawn the short straw, down 9 positions off the start, whereas conversely, Chris Whitten has made up 10 places off the start. So Whitten is the one gunning through the field. Here's the move for the lead. Ross Steele charges at the inside of Rob Wellham. No need for any recompense on that one. He's going to try and get the undercut straight back. But Wellham's left the door wide open for Louis Bevan to come alongside him. And they are charging for position. Louis Bevan is going to force Wellham onto the grass. Wellham drops back 6 places as a result of that one. The 14 of Gavin Pitt is going to cut across him and take the place, I'm sure. But Rob Wellham not very happy with that one at all. Louis Bevan, though, he was alongside him. He had enough space. He made the move. He was not prepared to back out of it. And Wellham was run out of road. He had nowhere to go. So from Rob Wellham's point of view, he'll feel that he was nerfed off the circuit. Louis Bevan, no, you just didn't back out of the corner, mate. So out in front, Ross Steele and Louis Bevan, first and second at the moment. But Bevan is working with a camaraderie of drivers, Cole, Nardoni and Brierley, to close up on the race leader. And that's a move once again. I think that's Whitaker making up more places. The 74. Oh, no, sorry, that's the 14 of Gavin Pitt. Tucking in there as he makes the move on Sam Fowler. Matthew Taylor went through as well on that lap, so Rob Wellham has got back up into P6. So it's now Deal from Bevan, Cole, Nardoni, Brierley, Wellham, Taylor, Pitt, Fowler, and rounding out the top 10 at the moment is Theo Hesketh in front of Reese, Hogan, Goldsmith, and Whitten. Then it is Lewis Wadley, and then we have Bowen, Butcher-Lord, Lawrence, Wells, Whitaker, Brickley, Darton, Duke, Marshall, and Levin. Up the inside, that's a beautiful move for 37 Christian Brierley to move up into P4, gets the move on Nardoni, and that puts him up into P4. Good overtaking move there. Another one further back from Amy Duke as she makes the move on David Brickley. So good race there from Amy Duke so far, and a big lunge into the final turn for Chris Whitten, who makes the move on Max Goldsmith into the final turn. So good overtake there from Chris Whitten as he dives through and gets 13th place. Great racing from the front of the grid to the back. It's all go here in TKM Extreme. But who's going to win it? Ross Steele still hanging on to his advantage by 0.3 of a second. But that means it's not going to be long before these guys are on their tail. Louis Bevan and Ryan Cole going together. Christian Brierley in P4 in front of Nardoni. Then it's Wellham, Taylor, Pitt, Fowler and Hesketh. The 10 leaders still very close together. In 11th, Alex Reese is not far back. John Hogan's only 0.5 of a second behind them as well. So if these guys continue to battle, he'll be in the mix too. So 11, possibly 12 drivers in for the fight for the victory from Whitten and Goldsmith. Zach Bowen's been hung out to dry by Dan Butcher-Lord, who's made his way back to 15th. It's really difficult, though, when you've set a fast lap in qualifying and then something happens that pushes you down the order. You've then got to pick off car after car before you can show that same kind of pace. But the lead is definitely slashed in half now as Ross Steele has only got a lap, basically one kart length over Louis Bevan and Ryan Cole. Christian Briley fourth from Nardoni, Wellham, Taylor and Pitt. But it looks to me as though there's a little bit of a gap between Rob Wellham and Matthew Taylor now. So Rob Wellham down the order initially, has fought his way back to P6 and is now charging after Nardoni. A late lunge into turn 1 and he's through in a P5. So a good move there from Rob Wellham. Gets himself up into 5th position. Now he's going to chase after Bevan, Cole and Briley, who are on the back of the leader, Ross Steele. So Ross Steele hoping to hold on to the lead of this race, but he's going to get a challenge as Louis Bevan goes into the lead. Louis Bevan takes the lead on the right-hander going into the second sector. Nicely done. And so now we have a change of leader. It's the third different leader from this race. In fact, Louis Bevan hits the front. So Ross Steele is now second from Cole, Briley, and no, that's Wellham. That's Wellham in P6, my apologies. So the 37 in there, Briley, Nardoni and Wellham. So Wellham was not able to make the move on Nardoni in the end. And now on his tail is the 14 of Gavin Pitt. So 7 drivers still in the mix for the victory as we've got a minute 45 on the clock or so. And that means that we're going to have a really interesting final 4 laps of this race by my math. Here they come again. And your leader is Louis Bevan. Second, Ross Steele from Cole and Briley. And off the road goes Nardoni. Nardoni goes off and drops back 2 places. So that's Wellham and Pitt through into 5th and 6th. So Nardoni making the mistake. And now he's in danger of losing the place to Sam Fowler. Fowler's going to commit to the corner. He's through. Nicely done. And surely he's going to lose a place now as well to Theo Hesketh, who tries to dive at the inside. Gets the place. And Alex Rees is going to get the door wide open for him. But he gets shut down. So a big mistake then from Cristiano Nardoni. An initial loss of 2 places has become a loss of 5 places. So Louis Bevan leading the way from Ross Steele, Ryan Cole, Christian Briley, Rob Wellham and Gavin Pitt as they come into the right-hander with less than a minute to go. But this is going to be an interesting charge forward. Oh, and that's going to be an interesting run round the outside from Wellham, and he clatters into the side of the 37 of Christian Briley. They come together. Briley pirouettes into the side of Wellham, and both of them are out of this race. Well, they might be able to get going once more, but in terms of going on to the top of the podium, it's all done and dusted, and Wellham's rear axle is bent to absolute nightmare. So Rob Wellham is out of the race. That's a real shame. And with 22 seconds on the clock, we now have only 2 laps to go, in my opinion. To do the math, it's going to be close, actually, when they come across the line. But Rob Wellham, what a shame. A really good run, and he was going to fight back to the victory in fine style. But Louis Bevan has now broken clear in the lead of the race, with Ryan Cole up to 2nd position on the 11 of Ross Steele. So Louis Bevan has broken away in the lead of the race at exactly the right moment. And it looks to me as though Bevan is going to get the job done. We're into the last lap. And Louis Bevan leads from Cole, Deal, Pitt, Fowler, Hesketh, Nardoni, Rees and Witten. John Hogan has dropped down into 10th position. Butcher Lord is 11th now from Goldsmith, Bowen, Taylor, Whittaker, Wadley, Lawrence, Wells and Darton, ahead of Amy Duke in 20th. But out in front, it is all guns blazing for Louis Bevan. Having made the break, Louis Bevan is in position, in command, and looking good for a victory. And it looks like it's going to be a flex 1-2 as the battle continues on behind them. Still a good squabble as a few places are being made up. But out in first position, it is Louis Bevan who will lead his teammate Ryan Cole across the line. Louis Bevan and Ryan Cole, 1 and 2. A brilliant race. Ross Steele in 3rd, only just in front of Gavin Pitt. Then Sam Fowler 5th from Leo Hesketh. Cristiano Nardoni, Alex Rees, Chris Witten and John Hogan round out the top 10 from Dan Butcher-Lord. Then it is Max Goldsmith, Zach Bowen and Matthew Taylor. James Whittaker in 15th from Lewis Wadley. And then it is Andrew Lawrence, Nathan Wells. And then we have Jack Darton and Amy Duke from Isaac Marsh, David Brickley, Alex Lemon. And then Christian Briley, who manages to get to the flag. Whereas, sadly, Rob Wellham does not, with a broken rear axle for Rob Wellham. And a real shame for Rob, because he was having a great fight back and a great move to come up through the field once more. But sadly, the move around the outside of Christian Briley, it was a good try, a really good try from Rob Wellham, but unfortunately as Briley drifted out, they banged wheels and that spat Briley into the side of Wellham's car. He pirouetted in the air and clattered into the side of Wellham's car, and that has broken Wellham's rear axle. That's a real shame, because that was a great chance to go for the victory from Rob Wellham, taken cruelly away from him. And in my opinion, had that not have happened, I think Wellham would definitely have been in for a shout at the podium. But, oh well, that's a difficult one, and it's going to be a long way back from there. But Rob Wellham is one of those drivers who can make it back from there. So I reckon it's going to be an interesting fight from now on. But it's definitely a much harder task than it was before. So as the drivers bring their karts back into the pits, I don't even think we're going to lose sleep on this particular gap between races, because the recovery job has been... And they will come back into the pits with a lot of homework to do before their next race. And next out on the circuit, of course, is going to be the Senior X30s, the battle that we've all been enjoying ever since the start of the season back at PF. And there's a few more chapters to write in it yet.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Senior X30 out on the circuit next then, and it's going to be an interesting battle to see who will fight for the top of the dais this time, because we have Lewis Malin on pole position after a cracking qualifying session. He really seemed to have it nailed right from the off and was always a threat for pole position, so even more exciting to see him actually get there. And then Oliver Hodgson in the mix with Levi King and Morgan Porter on that second row of the grid. Thomas Turner and Joe Turney, just to make things complicated, they always seem to end up close to each other on the grid. Turner and Turney, I'm going to hate that by the end of the season. Then on the fourth row of the grid, we're going to have Sean Butcher, the Australian, and Brad Pennell, with Scott Jackson and Derek Morgan rounding out the top 10. Then it is Owen Byatt and Alexander Huang, Jensen Brown and Rashad Ghanem, Paul Stewart and Archie Tillett from Saul Robinson and Rory Hudson, Matt Armstrong and Brandon Matchell from Elliot Harvey and Angus Morsdale, way down on the 11th row of the grid. They'll be fighting back. Ewan Wilson, Josh Thompson-White, and then Anna Morris, Sky Siddle, and Henry Laws trying to make up for the ground he lost in qualifying. So really interesting battle. This is going to be from the off, particularly considering that Josh Malin has got an interesting battle to cope with from the man alongside him. Oliver Hodgson, very strong at the start of the season and leading the championship in the early stages. But we will see how this run to the first corner goes. Anybody on that inside line, of course, with a better chance of leading by the way through the first couple of corners. But Lewis Malin has always been a threat this weekend. He's been very strong from the start of practice yesterday morning. And his times have always indicated he would be in the hunt for the victory this weekend. So from his point of view, a great relief to see a pole position from qualifying when the pace was evident from the beginning of the day. And this one will be quite tough because we've got drivers in all sorts of different outfits at all sorts of different levels of experience with the drivers. And they will be wanting to go gusto from the off. Less than 30 seconds now to the start of the race from the drivers leaving the garage. And a lot of drivers along the start-finish straight here, getting ready for the off. A quick reminder before the race gets underway again. Please, guys, do not use hand signals to the drivers as they come through. The race control and the officials are watching very closely. We do not want to hand out penalties where they are not due. So please make sure you refrain from hand signals. If you have to, tie your hands behind your back or wrap them in something else. We have a few straight jackets in race control if you need them. We don't want to get them out if we don't have to. But make sure that your drivers are not getting signals from the pits. Here we go. Lewis Malin and Oliver Hodgson lead the field out around the Larkhall circuit once again, with Levi King and Morgan Porter on that second row of the grid. Then it's Thomas Turner and Joe Turney, third row of the grid from Sean Butcher and Bradley Pennell. Scott Jackson and Derek Morgan will round out the top 10 from Owen Byatt, the leading privateer once again, and Alexander Huang from Singapore. Then Jensen Brown and the Lebanese racer Rashad Ghanem of the M Sport team, teammates with Morgan Porter. Then we have Paul Stewart and Archie Tillett, who is the teammate of Oliver Hodgson on the front row of the grid. Then Saul Robinson and Rory Hudson, Matt Armstrong and Brandon Matchell, the third of the four M Sport karting drivers. Elliot Harvey and Angus Morsdale needing to make a bit of progress from the 11th row. And then Ewan Wilson also trying to do the same thing from Josh Thompson-White, Anna Morris, Sky Siddle and Henry Laws. And the drivers are in position. It's a nice formation. It's a good start in progress. And we're going to get straight underway. And the inside line gets a cracking start. Hodgson's going to start into third position behind Levi King. So Lewis Malin and Levi King get the ultimate job shot. And they move through. Hodgson third from Morgan Porter. Then the Turner battle getting underway in earnest as they make their way through to the first hairpin on the lap. Turn 3. Looks like no major dramas as into turn 4 they come. The right-hander back into view and up towards the hairpins. This is where things are going to get very interesting. It's right round the outside. Turney and Turner having a great battle as Joe Turney holds that inside line and gets into P5. But look at the break from Lewis Malin. He has charged forward. An amazing start for him as he has got the break on the rest of the field. Levi King in second, Oliver Hodgson in third, trying to find a way to get through very early doors, but has not quite been able to get through on that part of the circuit as the field continues on. But it is Malin, King, Hodgson, Porter, Turney, Turner, Butcher, Jackson, Morgan and Bradley Pennell in the top 10 in front of Byatt and Huang, Brown, Stewart and Hudson. Malin's got a massive lead over Oliver Hodgson now, who's into second place up the inside of Levi King. And that was a brave bit of driving there from Brad Pennell to get on the inside of Derek Morgan and make the switch back. And Morgan's been impeded. That's allowed, I think that's Owen Byatt in the 38 to come through. Now the 57's making a move on the inside line. That is Sean Butcher. So Butcher got the move on Byatt there into the final turn. And Jensen Brown's gone a long way down the order, as too has Rashid Ghanem. So what's happened between those two? Well, Brown and Ghanem have ended up a long way down the order in the hunt with Angus Mulsdale. So I think Anna Morris has just about avoided that. But Morris, Ghanem, Mulsdale and Brown right down to the far end. And Henry Laws is out of the race, having had more mechanical problems. So out in front, it is Lewis Malin from Hodgson and King. Going very well at the front. Fourth position, a good run from Joe Turney in front of Thomas Turner. So it's Malin, Hodgson, King, Turney, Turner, Porter, Morgan, Byatt, Butcher and Jackson, with Rory Hudson now moving his way into 11th place. And then we have Saul Robinson from Brad Pennell, Alexander Huang, Archie Tillett, Paul Stewart, Matt Armstrong, Brandon Matchell, Ewan Wilson, and moving up is Elliot Harvey, moved up a place, then Josh Thompson-White and Sky Siddle in front of Angus Mulsdale, Jensen Brown, Rashid Ghanem and Anna Morris. In the battle for the leading privateers and rookies, we'll keep an eye on it. That's the 77 who's been given a warning flag that time by. That is for Rashid Ghanem, the Lebanese. So I'm not entirely sure what he's got himself involved with that time by, but an incident no doubt. Anna Morris in the 22 is, well, she's had a problem there somewhere around the circuit. Not entirely sure where she held it. Oh, she had an issue there at turn on the first sector, so I wonder if she just got caught out as Mulsdale, Brown and Ghanem tried to come through, because Morris is now looking likely to be lapped by the leaders fairly early on, although Lewis Malin is losing a lot of time to Oliver Hodgson and Levi King. That gap that he had initially is coming down big style, but Anna Morris is going to need to be very careful here to move out of the way and make sure that these guys are not impeded. Blue flags are flying, but she will come onto the main straight and get out of the way soon, but not yet. So Malin, Hodgson, King, Turney, Turner, Porter, Morgan, Byatt, Butcher and Jackson. Then it's Rory Hudson from Saul Robinson, Brad Pennell, Alex Huang, Paul Stewart, Archie Tillett, Ewan Wilson, Brandon Marshall, Harvey and Thompson-White. Then it's Armstrong, Siddle and Mulsdale, Brown and Ghanem. And now Morris has been lapped by the two leaders, Malin and Hodgson. But Levi King has not quite got close enough yet to Anna Morris to get through. So Anna Morris will obviously have the blue flags waving as the leaders are coming through, but Morris does not want to lose too much time, as diving up the inside goes Levi King into third position. And now we've got the battle for positions as the drivers racing on. But Malin, Hodgson and King having a great run down the main straight. Turney in fourth, Turner is fifth, Porter is sixth for Morgan, Byatt, Butcher and Jackson. Then Hudson, Robinson, Pennell, Huang, Stewart, Tillett, Wilson, Harvey, Matchell and Thompson-White. But the leaders are going through very nicely indeed. Now Anna Morris has still got the racing line, and Joe Turney is now going to get through and lap Anna Morris, and so too two more karts in the mix. That is Turner and Porter. So the blue flags will still be out flying for Anna Morris, the 22, unfortunately. And Anna Morris, I think, what has happened to Anna Morris, the 22, is she pulled into the pits? I didn't see her as she came through, but I think she has gone through. Yes, indeed. My apologies. So Malin, Hodgson, King, Turney, Turner, Porter, Morgan, Byatt, Butcher and Jackson is the top 10 at the moment. But Joe Turney is working with Thomas Turner and the 46 Morgan Porter to try and close further up the order. And still the racing battle continues on. Blue flags for Anna Morris as she's still in the mix of that top 10 battle. But at the moment, she doesn't need to worry too much about the blue flags because there's nobody directly behind her. The number 10 and the 41 battling away for position. That's Brad Pennell versus Rory Hudson for 12th place as they go over the line. Sky Siddle goes through, still looking good in the MBM car. And she has moved up into 22nd position, but still good enough to be the second of the rookies. So if anything happens to Scott Jackson, then Sky Siddle is looking at the top rookie prize. Still they battle on. But it's the leader, Lewis Malin. His lead absolutely slashed by Oliver Hodgson and Levi King, who are charging forward and trying to get the deficit down with just over 2 minutes to go. Malin is still under pressure from Hodgson. King in third from Turney, Turner and Porter. Morgan now up to 7th place, past the Australian Sean Butcher. Then it's Byatt, Jackson, Robinson, Pennell, Hudson, Stewart and the Singapore driver, Alex Huang. Tillett, Wilson, Harvey, Matchell and Thompson White. Then it's Armstrong in front of Sky Siddle. And then we've got that trio of Mulsdale, Brown and Ganem, who are still racing for position. Hodgson right on the back of Malin now, and it's a 6-way battle for the victory ultimately, because we've got those 6 karts very closely together. And at the moment, it looks as though these guys are going to continue their pace. Malin, Hodgson, King, Turney, Turner and Porter. There's a little gap between the top 3 and the 4th place driver, which is Levi King at the back of the trio and Joe Turney. But that gap is coming down pretty rapidly. Faster in the second sector, Joe Turney, than Levi King. So they'll be chipping away at the battle. Still going well and still going strong. Here comes Oliver Hodgson, an opportunity to get onto the back of Lewis Malin and go for the move. Levi King in 3rd place. 4th, 5th, 6th, still very, very close indeed. Joe Turney, Thomas Turner and Morgan Porter. Derek Morgan leads the charge behind in the 5. And he's got a little bit of time before Sean Butcher gets close to him. Owen Byatt in 9th place now in front of Scott Jackson. And that's the battle for the top 10. Jackson's still there as the leading rookie. But Malin, Hodgson and King with a few seconds left of the race. I think they're going to get 2 laps to go here because they're going to get through just in time for the seconds to tick down. But they won't have gone down to nothing by the time they get there. That last sector is under 10 seconds for each of the drivers as they come through. So that's not really of concern. So here comes Malin, Hodgson and Levi King still battling away for position. They come out of the final turn and across the line with 2 laps to go. Malin, Hodgson, King, Turney, Turner, Porter, Morgan, Butcher, Byatt, Jackson, then Saul Robinson, Brad Pennell, Paul Stewart, Rory Hudson, Archie Tillett made up a place there on Ewan Wilson. Alex Huang has dropped to 17th now. Harvey up to 18th. A bit of progress made there, but not as much as he would like. But here we go. Hodgson has started to stretch out a little bit of a gap to Levi King. It's only about another kart length extra, but he wants to try and stretch Malin away in the hope that he can get him on the last lap, which is about to start. Into the final turn and over the line. Last lap board comes out of race control. Here we go. And now it is time to see who's going to get this victory. The first one of the day for Senior X30. There will only be 5 races to go after this one. But the 8th and final class to race here at Larkhall for the first day of action on the Saturday afternoon is going to be a really interesting challenge. Here we go. Hodgson lining up Malin. Malin defends as he should do from the inside line through the left-hander. Levi King's getting close through the right-hander. Can Hodgson outsmart him in the final hairpin? I'm not sure he can. I don't think he's close enough. He'll get a good switch, but Malin's going to win the race. Lewis Malin holds it fast at the front of the field and takes the first win of the weekend. Malin wins it. Hodgson second. Third is King from Turney, Turner, Porter, Butcher, Morgan, Byatt and Jackson. And that's your top 10. Really good racing from the guys in Senior X30. 11th is Brad Pennell from Saul Robinson and Paul Stewart. Rory Hudson is next from Archie Tillett and Ewan Wilson, up 7 places. Alex Huang is 17th. Elliot Harvey moves up 3 places to 18th. And then the rest of the field continuing on behind them with a 19th place finish after a strong race there for Brandon Matchell. And Josh Thompson-White comes up 4 places to 20th from Matt Armstrong, Sky Siddle, and then Angus Mulsdale, Jensen Brown and Rashid Ganem still in their trio of a battle to the end of the race. And then Anna Morris, who was lapped in the end in the 26th position kart, number 22. And unfortunately, out of the race early on was Henry Laws after mechanical problems kept him from racing to his true potential. So that is the 8 classes here at Super 1 this weekend, and they have all battled for position at least once. and had a great race out of it. Not all of the drivers have raced once. I should point that out because we also have a bit of a battle coming on later. Oh, no, they will have done by now. My apologies. They now have all taken to the circuit in Gusto for the 8 races. Oh, that's interesting. They all seem to have stopped out onto the circuit. Now, that's interesting. What's happened there? So the karts have come into the pits, and they've ended up having to get out of the karts and push on the way out of the pits. I know it's a busy grid, this one, but that's a very interesting way for the race to end from their point of view. I think that's the first time that's happened this weekend. Drivers are not even in the pit lane out of the final turn, and they're having to come into the pits. I wonder if somebody has broken down on the way into the pits, and that's held up and impeded the rest of the field. So that's going to take them a little bit of time. But we've had the 8 different groups have at least 1 race each. There are a couple of drivers that have had 2 races in the TKM Extremes, but now we have the battle to come from the Bambino Brigade for the second time, because we have just 5 races left before close of business here this afternoon at Larkhall in the blistering sunshine. We have Bambinos, Army Cadets, the Mini X30s, the Junior TKM, and then the third and final heat of the day for TKM Extreme. And then we will shut up shop and do it all again from 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then we'll have 17 races tomorrow here at the Tito Money Super 1 at British Karting Championships, the 3rd weekend of the season at the glorious Summerlee Raceway here for the West of Scotland Karting Club venue, which is here in Larkhall, just 12 miles down the road from beautiful Glasgow. And it's looking pretty oven-based at the moment, as the sunshine is definitely crisp and drying the entire venue and everybody within it. I hope everybody's well hydrated. If not, you're going to need a 68-pack of water ready for tomorrow, because it's going to be really, really hot all weekend by the look of it. And glorious weather, although a few marshals were telling me earlier they actually want some rain because their gardens are getting very dry at the moment because they've had an awful lot of sunshine recently. However, we are about to get underway again for the second race of the weekend for the National MSA Bambino Championship.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So after a great race earlier, the MSA Bambinos are out again for the 9th race of the weekend and their second race of the championship. For a lot of these guys, it's their second ever race at national level, of course. And these guys are going to be pushing very hard for it. Oscar O'Sullivan and Fraser Anderson, hopefully renewing their battle from the previous race. From the front of the grid, Freddie Duncan and Aston Sharp will be there on the second row of the grid. Then Sky Parker and Evie Davidson. And then we'll have Ryan McCall and Gregor Reed from Freddie Hare, Leith Khan and Fletcher Jameson. That's going to be the order for this one, as the drivers will battle away for position on their starting grids. And the MSA Bambino National Championship for these 11 bright sparks of the future. Some of them are local, some of them have travelled an awfully long way to be here, but it's going to be very exciting to see what in the second race of proceedings we will get to see from young Oscar O'Sullivan from the front of the grid, the young man from Bexley, as he goes to battle with the man from Castle Douglas, Fraser Anderson, on that front row of the starting grid. Second row of the grid, of course, Freddie Duncan, driving a brilliant race last time, the young man from Maidstone in Kent, as he will run to the inside line. And Aston Sharp, another of the Scottish contingent from Aberdeen, will run there on the second row of the grid. Beautiful city, Aberdeen. I used to busk there years and years ago. That was always guaranteed to be my top haul. I once made 150 quid in 2 hours there with my guitar. Away they come out of the pits, the MSA Bambino contingent. And great to see them all looking resplendent in their fantastic overalls with the bright orange number boards on the carts. And we've got the 48 of Sky Parker in trouble, having left the pits. So something's gone wrong for Sky Parker in the 48 as she leaves the pits. Now, is she going to be able to get going again? She's not entirely sure what happened there. Something's gone wrong. But is this going to be a slow start to the weekend for Sky Parker? She's already had a fantastic race where she fought her way through to the top 4 after a great race, and it looks as though her race is not going to start with the rest of the grid. She can start the race from the pit lane, and obviously if she starts the race from the pit, she'll still be able to race with the pack, but the drivers are coming through to the starting grid, and it's a standing start for MSA Bambino, of course. But a bit of a sluggish start to proceedings for Sky Parker. Hopefully they can get her car started again. ready in time for the race to get underway, because she can start from the pits and still fight her way through to the front. And with her pace, she would be able to make it back into the top 6 with a bit of difficulty, but she will get there if she has the belief in herself to do so. And she seems pretty feisty here this weekend. The drivers now make their way to the starting grid. Thumbs up and good luck for and the drivers now getting into position, minus Sky Parker. And looks like the 9th position on the grid is not there either. But the driver's ready. The flag is down. The salt tyre drops, and away we go. Good start from Oscar O'Sullivan. Now, is Sky Parker going to get going from the pits? I'm thinking not. That's a real shame. The Welsh lady not going to move further forward off the grid by the look of it. Well, that is a real shame for Sky Parker. Fought beautifully in the first race. To get to the top 4 was a whisker away from the podium. But it looks to me as though poor Sky Parker is not going to be able to race this time. Some kind of mechanical problem putting her out initially, and then game over. Couldn't restart from the pits. What a shame. Very, very superstar driver, Sky Parker. One of the youngest in the field here this weekend, and definitely deserving of a better run than that. Anyway, Fraser Anderson has broken clear in the lead of the race. So got to move on Oscar O'Sullivan. And Fraser Anderson now leads in the 10 car. O'Sullivan in 2nd place. Then it's Freddie Duncan, I think, in 3rd position. Is that? Or is that the 25? No, that's Aston Sharp. Another good start then from Aston Sharp to get into top 3. And then we have Evie Davidson having had a cracking start. Evie Davidson in P4. Clearly a bit of a conversation with Louis de Resta has really definitely worked out in her favour as she works her way forward into 4th position. A cracking start. It is 5th for Freddie Duncan. Then Ryan McCall is 6th from Gregor Reed, Laith Khan, Fletcher Jameson and Freddie Hare. But sadly, a non-start to the race for Sky Parker. Hopefully we'll see her back in action tomorrow, because her race 1 performance was absolutely brilliant. Now, is this a change for the lead? Is that Oscar O'Sullivan making the way through? No, it's a change for 2nd. It's Aston Sharp making his way through in a 2nd position. Great run from the local man. So it's Scottish 1, Scottish 2, English 3 at the moment. So the salt tyre dropped at the beginning of the race. It looks like it's going to fly on the podium at the end of the weekend for this current race, because we've got Fraser Anderson and Aston Sharp doing a grand job in the top 2. So Anderson leads, Sharp 2nd, O'Sullivan 3rd. Then it is Evie Davidson right in there in 4th position. The local contingent very strong here at Larkhall. Then it's Duncan from McCall, Gregor Reed, Laith Khan, Fletcher Jameson and Freddie Hare. But Fraser Anderson and Aston Sharp going well at the moment in the lead of the race. Fastest lap of the race for Aston Sharp. Purple in the 1st and 2nd sectors. So Aston Sharp closing up on Fraser Anderson, making his own bid for the victory. His confidence sky high after a solid finish in race 1. Race 2, he is wanting to get even more from it, and he's through! Beautiful move from Aston Sharp into the right-hander at turn 4. He is through and into the lead. Great race from Aston Sharp thus far. O'Sullivan, trying to break through into 2nd place past Anderson. But Aston Sharp has got them both, and he leads the way here. Brilliant racing from Sharp. So Anderson 2nd, O'Sullivan 3rd. Evie Davidson is still there in 4th position. Then it's Freddie Duncan and Ryan McCall. Gregor Reed is still there in P7 at the moment. But we have a new leader, and his name is Aston Sharp. Evie Davidson in 4th position, running very well this time compared to what she did in race 1. She seems to have really found a bit more of a confidence booster, Evie Davidson. The kart now up in 4th position. And she seems to be charging after Oscar O'Sullivan with some gusto. Is it going to be a complete sweep for the salt tyre? 1, 2, and 4 at the moment. It could be 1, 2, 3 if Davidson gets close enough to Oscar O'Sullivan to challenge for the place. Into turn 4, square right. And it's still the same. No, it's not. It's Fraser Anderson. Anderson now leads. So Anderson's through into the lead once more. Sharp in 2nd. O'Sullivan 3rd. Then comes Evie Davidson. But Freddie Duncan's looking quite threatening in 5th position. Ryan McCall's getting in there as well in 6th position, trying to close up on Evie Davidson. Through to turn 7. And then up to the final turn, into the hairpin, turn 9. Really good racing here. Oh, it's going to get very, very frenetic as Oscar O'Sullivan tried to sweep by the 2 guys in front. Couldn't quite make that move stick. But Anderson leads, Sharp 2nd, O'Sullivan 3rd. Then it's Davidson, Duncan and McCall. And through up the inside goes Laith Khan in a battle with Jameson and Hare. So we've got three-way battles at the moment. Anderson, Sharp and O'Sullivan. Then Davidson, Duncan and McCall. And Reed, Khan and Jameson. Freddie Hare has come through in 10th position as well. So there's a good mixture of drivers all battling away for position. Khan, Jameson and Hare having a battle for 8th place with, on his own, Gregor Reed in 7th place. Anderson has broken clear in the lead, and O'Sullivan's got through into second place once more. So O'Sullivan into second. Third position is still the 25 of Aston Sharp, as he now tries to charge after our leader, Fraser Anderson. And Evie Davidson has managed to hold on to fourth position after a late challenge there from Freddie Duncan and Ryan McCall. So the fourth place battle still going, and the lead changes again as Oscar O'Sullivan takes the lead this time now. Oscar O'Sullivan gets Anderson, and Aston Sharp's going to come up the inside to move into second place. Evie Davidson in P4. Then it's Duncan, McCall, Reed, Jameson. Freddie Hare and Laith Khan has gone to the back of the queue for the moment. But what a spectacular battle this is turning into. Oscar O'Sullivan, Fraser Anderson and Aston Sharp having a great squabble for the lead of this race with just under 3 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Into turn 4, they will come this time by. Back into our sight. And it's Oscar O'Sullivan who leads the way. Where's Fraser Anderson? Still there in second. Aston Sharp has dropped a little way back, but is still there in third position. Then Evie Davidson, the young Scot from Bathgate, doing a great job there. She's working our magic in fourth position. So we've got 2 top 4 ladies in the grid, because, of course, Sky Parker got fourth place in race 1. Evie Davidson looking good for fourth place in race 2 at the moment, although she's still got a big challenge from Freddie Duncan in the 16, who's still working hard. No, that's Ryan McCall, actually. Ryan McCall's come through into fifth place past Duncan and is now getting the challenge to Evie Davidson. So great racing from them as they continue on. But a great battle between these three as they keep racing at the back of the field. Fletcher Jameson, Freddie Hare and Laith Khan. They're having a great squabble over 8th place. Let's not forget that these guys in the field are racing at national level for the very first time in their careers. Really exciting stuff as they come through square right, turn 4. And that is O'Sullivan, Anderson and Sharp. Much closer to each other than they were before. So O'Sullivan pushing hard but having a bit of a tough run of it as Evie Davidson hangs on to that 4th place. And with 3 karts now challenging for position, not 2, because McCall, Duncan and Reed are very close. Reed and Duncan are having a great squabble right now. So they continue to battle for position. The lead has come through. O'Sullivan, Anderson and Sharp in that order, very close together. The gap was a second between them. Now it's half a second as Aston Sharp has had a cracking lap and a cracking exit out of the final hairpin too. Evie Davidson still hanging on from the 31, Ryan McCall. Duncan and Reed in there. Jameson, Hire and Khan having that great squabble for 8th position. Really exciting battle. But Oscar O'Sullivan, Fraser Anderson and Aston Sharp are still battling away for the lead of this race, with the 3 of them very close company. A fantastic first sector for O'Sullivan to try and get away from Anderson. Strong in the second sector too. But he needs to be, because Anderson is right there. Anderson's trying to come through. Get the place, can't get it done. Aston Sharp dropping back a little bit. Evie Davidson's now got pressure from Ryan McCall, but Davidson hangs on to P4 for the moment. Duncan is still right there in with Gregor Reed, but Ryan McCall is in P5, trying to make the move on Evie Davidson. Good exit, but Davidson holds the line. Very nicely done at the moment. So as they come through once more, they've got 25 seconds to go, so this is going to be the penultimate lap. And it's still very close indeed in the battle for 4th position. Davidson hanging on in front of McCall, Duncan and Reed, with this 3-kart battle once again, led by Fletcher Jameson, Freddie Hare and Laith Khan. Attention paddock, X30 Senior, Rashid Ghanem, number 77, to the stewards, please. X30 Senior, Rashid Ghanem, number 77, to the stewards, please. So on the far side, we've got this penultimate lap battle going on between Oscar O'Sullivan and Fraser Anderson. Anderson trying to find a way on the inside line. Well covered by Oscar O'Sullivan. He's very defensive through that first hairpin, and that stops his charge. Anderson unable to get close enough as Evie Davidson blocks to cover Ryan McCall beautifully there in the first hairpin. No chance, chops across the nose. And Evie Davidson hanging on to 4th place for the moment in front of Ryan McCall. Great work from Evie, the young lady from Bathgate, getting onto things very quickly. Last lap, here we go. And it's a 3-way scrap for the lead still. O'Sullivan, Anderson and Sharp very close together. Evie Davidson moves to cover Ryan McCall once more. She is driving beautifully. Gregor Reed and Freddie Duncan battling away for 6th place. Then it's Jameson, Hare and Khan. Great racing. Can Oscar O'Sullivan hang on to the lead here in front of Fraser Anderson? We'll find out if they're leading the way still. Anderson very close indeed to Oscar O'Sullivan. Into the right hand of a turn 4 and back into our sight. Anderson's got a good run. I think he's going to get alongside and take the lead on this last lap. He's through. Gets the place. O'Sullivan's going to try and cut back. Watch for Aston Sharp. He can find a way through on the inside into the 2nd position. He tries to make the move on the inside. Oscar O'Sullivan's going to get him back. There might just be one last chance to get Anderson if he breaks well into the hairpin. He's going to dive for it. O'Sullivan's going to try and get there. He's going to run out wide. Anderson's going to come back on the inside. Anderson takes the win. Only just. Whoa-wee. What a victory. 0.02 as Fraser Anderson gets the win. Magnificent squabble on the last lap. Oh, my word. Unfortunately, Evie Davidson dropped back to 4th position in the way through. Ryan McCall 4th from Gregor Reed, Freddie Duncan and Fletcher Jameson. Evie Davidson came home in 8th position in the end on that last lap. A real shame for her, dropping 4 places. And then Freddie Hare and Laith Khan, with Sky Parker, of course, failing to start the race. But what a moment as Fraser Anderson just let Oscar O'Sullivan come through on the inside. He knew he had a good draft to come back up the inside and take the place. But Fraser Anderson, what a victory. 0.02 across the line, takes the victory in superb style. And he can absolutely celebrate that one. Great run there from Fraser Anderson. I imagine the celebrations are going to be very, very nice in the paddock, and I'm sure all of the Castle Douglas Massive will be right behind him on that one. Absolutely terrific. Great race. Anderson for the win. O'Sullivan second from Aston Sharp. Ryan McCall, Gregor Reed, Freddie Duncan, Fletcher Jameson, Evie Davidson, Freddie Hare, and Laith Khan with sadly a non-start from Sky Parker. She would have been in that mix for the top 4 had that not have happened. But an amazing start to the Bambino weekend. We've had 2 different winners now in Oscar O'Sullivan and Fraser Anderson. And that was one heck of a victory, wasn't it? My word, they really left us the best till last in that one. And of course, that is now going to give us a great run from the rest of proceedings. And the battle is going to be a really strong charge as we continue on now from the MSA Bambinos into the IAMI Cadets. They will be next, and it's going to be a really interesting charge from there.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Phew. I'm going to have to try and get some extra oxygen from somewhere after that one. Really, really good run from the Bambinos, right to the line. 0.02. That is 0.02 of a second. A very close finish indeed there from Fraser Anderson, straight out of Days of Thunder. And an amazing battle with all 3 of them in the mix for the victory. But now we move on to the IAMI Cadets for the second race of their weekend. And actually, considering how feisty the IAMI Cadets usually get, they're going to be hard pushed to beat that one. We're going to see a really interesting race from the IAMI Cadets. No standing start for the IAMI Cadets, because of course it's only the MSA Bambinos that get the standing start, I should say. I'm having trouble with my worms. I need to sort something out. Anyway, Freddie Slater, Arvid Lindblad, Maxwell Dodds and Aidan Neat will lead the charge, with Freddie Slater, Arvid Lindblad on the front row, Max Dodds and Aidan Neat on the second row. Arvid Lindblad, of course, taking the victory in the first race. And then Vinnie Phillips and Will McIntyre will be on that third row of the grid, from Harry Jr. Burgoyne, Brandon Carr, Charlie Rippon and Leo Robinson. And they are going to head out onto the circuit now. Very nicely done. Well timed by the green flag. And they will head out now. There it is. The green flag flies at the end of the pits. And Freddie Slater and Arvid Lindblad will take up their resident positions on the front row of the grid once more. Max Dodds and Aidan Neat, Vinnie Phillips and Will McIntyre. And then Harry Jr. Burgoyne and Brandon Carr, with Charlie Rippon and Leo Robinson, Harley Keeble and Ashton Hodgson, Sam Shaw and Luke Watts. Then the Mexican Ian Aguilera, Maximus Hall alongside him. Then Ella Stevens and Bart Harrison, Archie Clark and Oliver Wright, Max Barrow and Monde Giuniccanini, Luke Sindler and Alex O'Grady, Jack Younger and William Go from the Philippines is there in 26th on the grid. And he is getting faster and faster with every race. So no doubt the Piers Sexton racing driver has got a few choice moves to make over the course of these next few laps. The contingent makes its way to the pit wall. A quick reminder before we get started, gents, that please no hand signals up and down the straight. I know it's frustrating, but that is the rule for 2018. No hand signals. Please refrain from doing so. So the drivers is going to be battling away through the S's up towards the final hairpin. Slater, Lindblad, Dodds, Neat, Phillips, McIntyre, Burgoyne, Carr, Rippin and Robinson in the top 10. Keep an eye on Harley Keeble from 11th on the grid. He should be threatening too. Sam Shaw and Luke Watts will want to move forward. And away we go. This time, yes, we are. Good start and a fantastic run to the first corner as the drivers hustle through for position. And it looks to me as though, while it's very close at the start, everybody has got through in a neat and tidy position. No need for yellow flags at the moment through the first couple of corners into that hairpin. With some good racing to come from these guys in Army Cadet, but leading the way, it's the O-plate, Freddie Slater in front of Arvid Lindblad, and Max Dodds in there in third position. So as they start it, no, that's Max Dodds in second. My apologies, Max Dodds is in second place and charging after Freddie Slater straight away. So a really good start as the drivers continue to knit their way through these first few corners of the lap, and then into turn 9, the last turn. It is a great run so far from Slater. The O-plate leads comfortably at the end of the first lap. Then it's Max Dodds, Arvid Lindblad in third from Will McIntyre, Vinnie Phillips and Brandon Carr. And the one who got caught out there on the first lap of that race, Ian Aguilera, the Mexican, down into 24th position, unfortunately. But there's still plenty of time for him to make it back with just under 7 on the clock. Slater, Dodds, Lindblad, McIntyre, Phillips, Carr, Burgoyne, Neat, Shaw, Robinson, Hodgson, Harrison, Keeble, Watts, Rippin and Maximus Hall, the Gladiator, in there in 16th position. Into the hairpin. A great run so far from Freddie Slater, Maxwell Dodds and Arvid Lindblad. And that's a very feisty move around the outside from the 90 of Jack Younger to keep in front of Ian Aguilera. Good jostling in the mid-pack as well. But Freddie Slater's got Dodds and Lindblad right underneath him as they charge across the line. Will McIntyre's going with them. Vinnie Phillips trying to stay in touch. The leading rookie, Brandon Carr, in the Oliver Rowland Motorsport car in 6th position. So it's 3 Fusions and 3 Oliver Rowland Motorsport carts in the top 6. Amazing when you consider that last year we only had 1 Oliver Rowland Motorsport kart, and that is Harley Keeble. That is the 12. That is the 3rd of the Oliver Rowland Motorsport karts. That's Harley Keeble having had an off there at the final turn. I was just going to say that there's only 1 driver in the kart last year. There was only Arvid Lindblad. This year, they have become the team of choice for several people. And as I say that, Freddie Slater has dropped to 3rd position behind A, Max Dodds, and B, Arvid Lindblad. So it's now Maxwell Dodds leading the way in the number 3 kart. Arvid Lindblad in 2nd position. 3rd is Slater. 4th is McIntyre. 5th is Phillips. And 6th is the 25 now of Brandon Carr. So there's still 3 Oliver Rowland Motorsports and 3 Fusion Motorsports in the top 6. But it's pretty incredible, isn't it, that we only had 1 Ollie Rowland Motorsport kart in the field last year. Now there's quite a few, and there are 3 of them in the top 6 here in 2018. Harry Jr. Burgoyne, the local man, is in 7th place, trying to charge them down. And this is it. Max Dodds and Arvid Lindblad now trying to work together to get away from Freddie Slater, the British Open champion in the O-plate. Freddie Slater took the final victory a few weeks ago at PF International. They had a great run once more last time out at Wilton Mill with Will McIntyre getting the final. The Oliver Rowland Motorsport team of Max Dodds and Arvid Lindblad adamant that this time they are going to get the finals victories. But it will be very tough. The number 77's given a warning flag. Now that is Bart Harrison, who's worked his way up into 11th position. A great run from Bart Harrison. I just wonder if there was a slight overshoot of the apex maybe. Was that track limits potentially? So we'll have to double check and see at the end of the race. But out in front, these 2 are pushing away. Dodds has assistance from Arvid Lindblad. Freddie Slater getting close under braking. Will McIntyre's got Brandon Carr. I was going to say Aidan Neat for company, but Neat has not had the best of starts to this one. He's down in 13th position as a good move further back sees Max Barrow make the move on Archie Clark in the first hairpin. But here they come once again over the line. And it's 1, 2 and 3. Dodds, Lindblad and Slater. McIntyre, Phillips, Carr, Burgoyne, Shaw, Robinson, Hodgson, Neat, Watts, Maximus Hall. Then it's Charlie Rippin from Harrison, Canini, Wright, Stevens, Sintler and Barrow. And then we have Archie Clark in front of Jack Younger, Ian Aguilera, Alex O'Grady, William Goh. And then, of course, at the back is Harley Keeble in the 26th place kart, number 12. Dodds and Lindblad still trying to get away from the pack. Freddie Slater going with them, though. You can never count out Freddie Slater. He is right there, battling for position once more. As up the inside, a cracking little overtake from Charlie Rippin as he makes the move on Maximus Hall. Maximus Hall gets him straight back again. And now on the inside comes Luke Watts as they challenge for positions. Great racing between Maximus Hall and Charlie Rippin, though, as they duke it out for position. A good overtaking move apiece in 2 corners. So really great racing from them as they battle on. Okay, so can we have 2 of the Junior X30s, please, to the race stewards? That is number 4 and number 7. That's Junior X30, number 4 and number 7. Please make your way to the race stewards, please. Thank you. That's number 4 and number 7 from the Junior X30 class. Up the inside, Freddie Slater's going to make the move on Arvid Lindblad, and he's got there. Beautifully done into second position. So Slater up into P2. So it is Arvid Lindblad now trying to play chase to Freddie Sia Slater into second position. Lindblad makes the dive up the inside of the final hairpin, and that's enough to move up into second place. Max Dodds must be loving this as he's there in second position now. Pushing on as the battle continues on. Great racing for the drivers as the battle intensifies. A gentle reminder once again to the pit wall. Please no hand signals to the drivers as they come past. It was outlawed in 2017. We shouldn't be doing it in 2018. So into the square right, turn 4. Max Dodds leads the way. Arvid Lindblad in second for Freddie Slater. There's daylight between the 2 ORM carts, and that could be enough to give the number 3 a chance to move forward. Max Dodds leading comfortably from his teammate Arvid Lindblad. Freddie Slater in third position, looking for a way to come by. But Lindblad has the pace at the moment to run with him and keep the place. Less than 2 minutes to go. The 16's been given a warning flag. Now that is Alex O'Grady, the Irishman. So I'm not sure what's happened to Alex, but he's given a warning flag on that lap. Was there a little bit of an incident he got involved with there? Not sure, but unfortunately there's a few drivers that are now further down the order. O'Grady overtaken on that lap by William Go, the Filipino racer for Piers Sexton Racing, going faster and getting further up the order. And now Freddie Slater deciding to work with Arvid Lindblad to close up on the race leader Max Dodds once again. And for my money, we've got 3 laps to go, so he needs to get on with this. As they come through now at the end of the hairpin, turn 9, they will come back onto the main straight, and that will signal us 3 laps to go. So with 3 more, Dodds, Lindblad and Slater still out in front. McIntyre 4th from Phillips and Brandon Carr. Sam Shaw in 7th from Robertson, Burgoyne and Ashton Hodgson. Then it's Neat, Hall, Watts, Ribbin, Harrison, Wright, Canini, Stevens, Sintler and Barrow. And then we have Jack Younger, William Go, Alex O'Grady, Ian Aguilera, Archie Clark and Harley Keeble. Great battle for position, and there's a lead change. That's Arvid Lindblad on the inside of Max Dodds, and Freddie Slater gets through as well. So Lindblad takes the lead. Slater gets through in a second place. Max Dodds in third. They are starting the race up front with these 3 drivers battling for position. McIntyre needs a little bit of cooperation from Phillips and Carr to move forward if they want to charge for the top 3 in this race. But Slater is holding second position in front of a very feisty Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad leads it. Slater second. Max Dodds is in there in third. So it's a Oliver Rowland Motorsport sandwich at the moment, and Freddie Slater is the meat. So through they come. It's going to be a really interesting battle. It's a Freddie Slater sandwich on Oliver Rowland Motorsport bread at the moment as they come up towards turn 4. Freddie Slater trying to come through. Here they come into the middle of the circuit. This is going to be an interesting run for Slater as he tries to go up the inside. Max Dodds makes the move on the inside line and can't quite get through. Freddie Slater chops across, and that's surely given Arvid Lindblad the break he needs to win this race. But now it's a bit of a break from Brandon Carr as he makes the move on Vinnie Phillips and is starting to give Will McIntyre a little bit of cooperation as they move forward. Up the inside comes Leo Robinson. He makes the move to 7th place past Sam Shaw. And now there's going to be an incredible battle as through as well as come Harry Jr. Burgoyne and Ashton Hodgson. They're through into 8th and 9th place, and they all squabbled for position as they came through that time. Really exciting stuff, but now we're into the final lap, and it's still Lindblad from Slater and Dodds. Not much to choose between them. Slater, fastest of all in the first sector, through the turn 4, up into the turn 5 hairpin, the left-hander. Slater getting dangerously close to Lindblad by his standards. Slater going for it. He's continuing to charge forward. He knows he's only got 3 corners to go. Through 7, the right. Through 8, the left. And I think he's going to challenge for that final turn. He is going to come into the final turn. Dive down the inside. Dodds might get a charge on his inside. It's 3 wide and Lindblad gets there first. Oh, goodness me. Lindblad gets the victory by 0.01 this time. 0.08 back is Max Dodds in third. Goodness me. 3 wide at the finish. I really hope there was someone taking a picture of that finish. That was amazing. Absolutely terrific. Well, I'm hoping that one will be on social media by the evening. That was a cracking photo finish for the victory. And it's Arvid Lindblad who gets it by the smallest gap it is possible to get in Super 1. 0.01. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Lindblad gets there by a couple of centimetres from Freddie Slater, from Maxwell Dodds in third. William McIntyre and Brandon Carr, fourth and fifth from Vinnie Phillips. Then it is Ashton Hodgson, Sam Shaw, Harry Jr. Burgoyne, and rounding out the top 10 is the Gladiator, Maximus Hall, up 6 places from 10th. Great run from him. Aidan Neat in 11th from Leo Robinson and Luke Watts. Then Charlie Rippin and Bart Harrison. Monde Junior Canini is 16th from Oliver Wright and Ella Stevens, Luke Sidler and Max Barrow, and then it's Jack Younger, Alex O'Grady, William Goh, Ian Aguilera, Archie Clark and Harley Keeble. Cracking racing right to the line then in Army Cadet. They obviously saw the MSA Bambino race and said, really? We could do better than that. We could do 3 wide at the line. And we could do it by 0.01. Awesome. Really, really good stuff. But Freddie Slater just beaten to the line by Arvid Lindblad to the tune of a couple of centimetres at the finish line. Absolutely incredible. So well recovered from Arvid Lindblad. Slater made the dive up the inside, but he knew that Slater was going to drift slightly out to the outside. So he just tucked in, got back on the power, and Arvid Lindblad taking the victory. That's what I love about this circuit. That final hairpin really does sort out the men from the boys at the front of the field. And a cracking bit of overtaking there from Freddie Slater, but he just drifted it out wide, and that's enough for Arvid Lindblad to get through and take the win. Superb driving, it has to be said, from these Army Cadets. Really exciting stuff. And now we've only got 3 races to go in the day, with the Mini X30s up next. And this one will be a very interesting battle as the drivers continue on for position. So how is this one going to go? We're going to have a very interesting challenge from the drivers as they battle away for position. But there's so many drivers who could win this one that they will all be challenging for position. They will battle on. And in Mini X30 in particular, we'll have some pretty exciting scraps between all of the drivers. So let's see how it all goes as the drivers continue in position. But we will now have a very valiant race from the Mini X30s after what was already pretty intense. But we'll have some more great battles in this one as we get ready for the second and final race of the day from the Mini X30 Brigade.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So the positions on the grid are reset. It's Rashan Chigarimbo on pole position for the Jade Racing team. And then Ivan Lomliev, the Coles Racing driver, alongside him on that front row of the grid. It will be exciting to see how they go, especially considering how Rashan Chigarimbo and Ivan Lomliev already had a pretty intense battle in that first race. Then, of course, we'll have on the second row Josh McLean and Josh Rowledge, a pair of Joshuas on the second row of the grid, and one of them was the championship leader coming into this round, Josh Rowledge. On the third row, Cian Shields, the Flying Scotsman, in the inside line of the third row of the grid, and then alongside him it is Aaron Walker, the first of the Kato Motorsport karts. His teammate is directly behind him on the fourth row of the grid, Daniel Bolton in eighth alongside the privateer, the Team Dulux racer Jacob McComb in seventh on the grid. Behind him directly on the inside line is Jessica Edgar, the third of the Fusion Motorsport karts, alongside the third of the Kato Motorsport karts, that is Harvey Ryby. And then at the back of the grid is the Mick Barrett racing driver Oliver Duffel, who got very badly out of luck in that first race and will be trying to charge his way forward for this one. But it's going to be an exciting battle, as we know. We have the Jade racing kart, we have the Coles racing kart, we have 3 Fusions, 3 Katos, and then we have the Strawberry and the Mick Barrett racing kart in the mix. It's going to be a really interesting battle, that is for certain. So the drivers head out onto the circuit as they roll around in position. And Mini X30 battle can continue once again with some great racing. Once again, a gentle reminder to the mechanics on the straight, please no hand signals. And we'll make sure that it's a clean race right from the start. Rashan Chigarimbo and Ivan Lomliev on the front row. Then it's Josh McLean and Josh Rowledge who will form up in position on the second row. And then we'll have Cian Shields, Aaron Walker, Jacob McComb, Daniel Bolton, Jessica Edgar, Harvey Ryby and Oliver Duffel. So the 11 karts in Mini X30 run around the circuit on the formation lap, get themselves neatly formed up. So let's see if this is going to be a clean start. Chigarimbo on the inside, Lomliev on the outside, and it's a cracking start. And it's not a good one for Lomliev. He falls down to 4th position immediately, and Kian Shields goes straight for McLean. Shields is through and into 2nd place. Cracking start for Kian Shields, who got a really good run off the grid into turn 1, caught that inside line, and I'm fairly sure that Shields through in a second behind the pole man, Rashan Chigarimbo. So Chigarimbo leads the way, no problems at all for the J driver as he comes through. 2nd place is Kian Shields in front of Josh McLean. Oh no, sorry, they've swapped. McLean is now back into 2nd place once more. Shields in 3rd, Lomliev 4th, then it's Rowledge. McComb has come up into 6th position. Good start from Jacob McComb. And then we've got Jess Edgar, who's got the 3 Kato carts behind him, and Oliver Duffel in there as well. Here comes Walker, making his way back up the inside of Jess Edgar into the final turn. Good move from Walker. Jess Edgar giving him some support down the straight. Then it's Dan Bolton, Oliver Duffel, and Harvey Ryby with the Lest We Forget livery on his helmet. Looks absolutely amazing there. Chigarimbo, McLean and Shields, top 3 at the moment. But Rashan Chigarimbo on the Birolart chassis for the Jade Racing team, running beautifully in the lead of this race, but he's got a lot of pressure, and that looks to me like a move from Lomliev up to 3rd position past Kian Shields. So into 3rd position he goes, and some great overtaking from Dan Bolton and from Oliver Duffel as they make the move on Jess Edgar. So Bolton and Walker working together as they work through the field now. They'll be in 7th and 8th, and they can charge forward with cooperation. This is great teamwork from the Kato Motorsport boys. And a big dive into turn 1 from Lomliev. He gets into 2nd place on the inside of Josh McLean. That was a very late lunge from the Bulgarian, but Lomliev is through into 2nd place. Terrific bit of driving there from the 27 for Coles Racing. Up into P2 he goes. So down the back straight, up into turn 4. Lomliev now in 2nd, chasing down Rashan Chigarimbo. He's got company from Kian Shields and Josh McLean, although McLean is in 3rd, Shields 4th, Rowledge 5th, McComb 6th. Then it's Walker and Bolton for the KMS team. And then it's Oliver Duffel, Jess Edgar and Harvey Ryby. So Chigarimbo leads the way from Lomliev. 3rd position. That is a great run from Josh McLean. Rowledge is through past Kian Shields, the championship leader coming into this round. Rowledge now up into P4. Struggling here at Larkhall. The field's still very close together. Only 4 seconds separating the carts as they run around the circuit. But onto the back straight they come out of 3. And now they come up the back straight into 4. The right hand square left, square right even. And now up to the hairpin. Lomliev very close to Chigarimbo. McLean still sat in 3rd. Rowledge in front of the 5th place man, Kian Shields. Then Jacob McComb. Walker. Duffel now in front of Daniel Bolton, Jessica Edgar and Harvey Ryby. They come out of the turn, no problem at all, into the next lap. As Chigarimbo's going to have Lomliev diving up the inside. Lomliev will take the lead of the race. So Ivan Lomliev has crept up and got into the lead once more. So Ivan Lomliev leads the way here at Larkhall in the second race, I should say, of the Mini X30s. 3rd round of the championship, 2nd heat of the day. But Lomliev is now your leader. 2nd place, Chigarimbo. Chigarimbo's going to come straight back at Lomliev. Lomliev cuts his nose across, and he's going to hang on to the lead, and that's enough to let McLean come back through at the inside. Rowledge is through. So too is Kian Shields, and Chigarimbo is dropped down to 5th position in all of that. Really intense battle at the front of this race. It usually is in Mini X30. So far this year, it has been an amazing battle. But here in the beating sun here at Larkhall, it's been a really close battle. As Dan Bolton and Jessica Edgar have both made the move on Oliver Duffel on that lap. So Bolton back to 8th, Edgar back to 9th. And Duffel has gone to 10th position in front of Harvey Ryby. A warning flag has gone out there for Dan Bolton. So I'm not sure whether that's track limits or a moment. As Rowledge makes the move on McLean and gets 2nd place. And Shields gets through into 3rd. So Lomliev leads. Rowledge 2nd. 3rd is now Kian Shields in front of his rival. And Shields goes for broke in the final hairpin. Shields is through and in a 2nd. The Flying Scotsman charges forward in a P2. Great move from Kian Shields once again. Oh, when that boy's got it, he's really got it. He's been amazing at the start of his season. All of a sudden, he's gone from racing every now and then to making his debut on the European scene and stunning everybody at the IAMI Winter Cup in Valencia. He was 3rd position that day out of a collection of amazing drivers. And on off the road goes Kian Shields as I say that. So a bit of a moment there as he drifts out wide. He slots in behind Jacob McComb. He's in 5th position. Very easy to do with that part of the course. The circuit very sticky from the previous races. As Chigarimbo, having worked his way into 3rd now, makes his way into 2nd place behind Rowledge initially. Now he makes his move to get through. McLean is there in 4th, McComb 5th. Then it is Shields and Walker Edgar's up to 8th now in front of Dan Bolton. Harvey Ryby's made the move on Oliver Duffel. Great overtaking move from Harvey Ryby to get himself up into 10th place. Good work from the team once more. So the KMS boys continuing to make great headlines around the circuit, but out in front, the biggest headline is Ivan Lomliev leading the way, and Josh Rowledge has gone wide. That's McLean through into 3rd position. Somehow Rowledge only losing 1 place. McComb couldn't quite get through on the inside of the championship leader, but that's how tough it is. Drivers dropping it at that turn 4, that square right, left, right and centre. And it's not the first time somebody's gone off there today. But Lomliev leads the way comfortably. Chigarimbo 2nd from McLean, Rowledge, McComb, Shields, Walker, Edgar, Bolton, Ryby and Duffy. Now, I have a feeling that Bolton is going to get some assistance now from Harvey Ryby. Ryby's sector times are really quick at the moment. He's been faster than Dan Bolton on the last lap, so they can work together to charge their way further forward. Lomliev has got an amazing gap in this race. Chigarimbo and McLean battling away for 2nd, and then Rowledge hanging on in front of Jacob McComb as he tries to cut his way through into P4, but he's got pressure from Shields and from Aaron Walker. Great racing, great battling. Out of the final turn once again, onto the next lap. And there's still some great overtakes as Oliver Duffel has got past Jessica Edgar, so that puts Jessica Edgar down to the back of the field. Ryby looking for some assistance from Oliver Duffel in the Mick Barrett Racing cart as they try and work their way forward. Mick Barrett Racing being assisted this weekend by Ben Barnicoat, who of course is one of the Super 1 alumni champions and has gone on to the world of British GT and Blancpain. But the battle for 2nd position at the moment spicing up, and if these two keep battling, that's going to make it open season for the 4 karts behind. But Ivan Lomliev for the Coles Racing team has made the break. He's already got 1 victory here at Larkhall earlier on, and he looks like he's going to make it 2. He's made the break even earlier this time. And still they continue to charge on as the drivers keep pushing on the race circuit now. Edgar and Duffel have got back past Harvey Ryby on that lap, so good bit of driving from Edgar and Duffel. But Lomliev leads the way by 1.5 seconds. In this field, that is practically half a lap. And then Chigarimbo and McLean are closing up. 4th position, Josh Rowledge in front of Kean Shields, Jacob McComb and Aaron Walker still having a great tussle for 4th position. They're running around together as Oliver Duffel's under some pressure from Jessica Edgar because Duffel has made the move through into 9th position. And that battle's not done yet. Lomliev comes through with 37 on the clock and through to 2nd. Beautiful move from McLean on Chigarimbo. Rashan Chigarimbo completely caught out there as McLean dives for the inside and grabs that 2nd place. Beautiful bit of opportunistic driving from Josh McLean. Really made that gap open up for him. A cracking bit of overtaking from Josh. He's not had the best of luck start to the season, but I tell you what, when Josh McLean gets a gap, he seizes it with both hands, and that was a cracking bit of driving, and that's actually given him a little bit of breathing space. That's dropped Chigarimbo into the battle behind him, so that's the move, I think, that has sealed 2nd place for Josh McLean. Great racing and great driving. Now, Josh Rowledge will want to get into the top 3 past Chigarimbo. He should get some support from behind him by Kean Shields. And then we've got the 32, Jacob McComb, under a lot of pressure from Aaron Walker. And if we go into the last lap, Walker looking very feisty. So Lomliev leading the way. McLean in 2nd, Chigarimbo in 3rd from Rowledge, Shields, McComb and Walker. Walker is definitely looking like top 6. Could be his at the end of this race if he keeps battling. McLean has definitely checked out in 2nd place. Chigarimbo's under some pressure from Rowledge. Shields is tightening in. McComb and Walker both in there. Walker's seizing a chance to go for Jacob McComb, trying to come right round the outside of McComb. Shields could get the inside line from Rowledge, but out of the final turn, Ivan Lomliev makes it 2 from 2. Great race from Lomliev. 2nd for McLean, a great battle from him, and 3rd place is just Chigarimbo from Rowledge and Shields. McComb and Walker 6th and 7th from Daniel Bolton, Jessica Edgar, Oliver Duffel and Harvey Ryby. Great racing. So close between these 11 drivers. 1 week to the next, they will shuffle positions. But this weekend at Larkhall, it's 2 out of 2 for Ivan Lomliev. And this time, he broke away from the field even further and even earlier. Lomliev stamping his authority on this weekend here at the West of Scotland Kart Club. He wants to clean up. McLean in 2nd. Rashan Chigarimbo in 3rd, Josh Rowledge in 4th. 4 different teams in the top 4 places. Then Shields, McComb, Walker, Bolton, Edgar, Duffel and Ryby. And that sets us up nicely for more great action for the Mini X30s tomorrow. So we've got just 2 races to go here on the Saturday afternoon at the Tito Money Super 1 British Karting Championships, live at the circuit on the PA system, and of course live around the circuit here at Downforce UK, around the internet in association with KMS. And it's been absolutely amazing to see how the battle has been going all through the day. 11 races done and 2 to go. And we're moving into one of the pressure cookers of the championship for the next race. And that is, of course, Junior TKM. They always spoil us with a great battle. I'm sure this will be no different.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Lando Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So we go back to square one with Junior TKM once again now, and a great grid promised from us in this one after an intense qualifying session. That is going to be Spencer Stevenson and Dan Butterworth from the front row of the grid as well. Now, hopefully from Spencer Stevenson's point of view, he won't quite have the same bad luck that he had in the first race, tumbling down the order, but his pace definitely giving us the indication that he will run from the front if he has a much better run of it. But as a rookie, he was under a massive amount of pressure in that first race, but he can't take away from the fact that he had the pole position from qualifying, so that should give him some confidence once more to basically start from the rejuvenated position. The gold card of the privateer Dan Butterworth alongside him on that front row of the grid should be a really exciting run. Then in behind we had the winner from race 1, Abby Pulling, alongside Oliver Richardson. Then we have the very feisty Ben Watson and Connor Kearney, who had some great comeback drives in the end of the race last time. Aston Wigley, who broke through to 4th position. Cracking run from him in race 1. And then we have Louis Harvey alongside him. Louis Harvey, in 4th row of the grid. Zach Oates, really unfortunate at dropping it at turn 4 in that first race. But hopefully there's going to be more from him, and he will fight his way through once more. William Orton for the Sam Jenkins Motorsport team there in 5th row of the grid. Morgan Kidd has another chance from row 6 alongside Max Davies. Zach Taylor and Dan McKeown, Ethan Newsham and Liam Hurrell, Joe Harrison and Archie Strong, Dominic Kilmister, Jensen Davis, and the hard-charging Harry Yardley Rose, who had a really difficult first race from the back of the grid, but charged his way forward to make up some great places. So if he can just do that again, he'll pick up some serious points, which is really good from his point of view. But cracking racing once again, and we'll see some absolutely terrific battles as the racing proceeds. But it's going to be really, really exciting to see how the drivers cope with the even hotter conditions than earlier on, because, of course, the track has been baked throughout. There is a little bit of a breeze, though. That is going to keep the drivers a little bit cooler as the race proceeds. But hopefully there will still be plenty of action from the Junior TKMs. Abby Pulling starting off her title defence the perfect way in race 1, fighting and battling beautifully to get herself up to the front. But there's a long, long way to go this season. She knows that. And obviously with this being only the first round of the championship, to start your title defence as a race winner is obviously the best way to go, especially considering she's spent more time recently in the Ginetta Junior car, which has, of course, been a very exciting campaign for her in the first 2 rounds of the championship. She'll be at Thruxton next week, of course, but that could be, unfortunately, where her championship ends unless there is some title support for her. She is, of course, the only national champion at Super 1 level of the junior contingent. So it's good to see how the female drivers are coming through, particularly Abby Pulling, who many people rate, if she has the money, she has the potential to go all the way to Formula 1. She has that kind of steely nerve and determination. And from the front of the grid, it should be interesting to see how she continues her defence of her title from 3rd on the grid. But Spencer Stevenson, her rookie teammate, is the man who grabbed pole position in qualifying. And this time, there will be no repeat of race 1 as far as he's concerned, although Dan Butterworth from that front of the grid and fellow rookie Oliver Richardson will definitely be trying to throw a candle to their own chances at the front of the grid. So as the green flag will fly at the end of the pit lane, we will go racing once again, and it's going to be a really exciting battle as we head out onto the circuit for the penultimate time today, but it's the Junior TKM Race 2. Heat number 2. Spencer Stevenson and Daniel Butterworth from that front of the grid, Abby Pulling and Oliver Richardson from the 2nd row, Ben Watson and Connor Kearney from row 3, Aston Wigley and Louis Harvey on the 4th row, from Zach Oates and William Orton, Morgan Kidd and Max Davies, Zach Taylor and Dan McKeown, Ethan Newsham, Liam Hurrell, Joe Harrison, Archie Strong, Dominic Kilmister, Jensen Davis and Harry Yardley-Rose. It will be an amazing battle between these guys as it was in the first race. But can Abby Pulling make it 2 out of 2, or is this going to be her rookie teammate Spencer Stevenson's chance to redeem himself from that pole position? Nobody could take that away from the rookie. He deserves his pole position and his front row start on the grid. But now it's up to him to keep the pressure cooker from bubbling over. This is going to be a really exciting start to proceedings. We've got a kart in the pits as well, actually, waiting to go out. That's the 30. So that's Ethan Newsham. Looks like going to start the race from the pits. And I'm not sure Morgan Kidd has taken up the restart. Here we go. Cracking start again from Abby Pulling, but Dan Butterworth trying to hold it round the outside. Ethan Newsham will continue on from the pit lane, and Morgan Kidd has not taken up the restart. I imagine that she's been ruled out of competition, either due to damage to the kart or maybe even a slight bit of damage to her. The clouds are coming in thick and fast here at Larkhall, and I'm starting to wonder, are we actually going to get a little splattering of rain before the end of the day is out? But Abby Pulling has crept into second place behind Spencer Stevenson. Stevenson leads the way with gusto. Pulling in second. Third is Butterworth. Fourth is still Oliver Richardson. Fifth place, that's a good start from Ben Watson. So they have made a cracking start in the early stage. Oh, wait, that's Connor Kearney, isn't it? The 64. As Spencer Stevenson now in second place because Pulling has taken the lead. Butterworth tried to get through as well. But Connor Kearney is in fifth position. I was wrong. Ben Watson in sixth. Then Oates, Wigley, Orton, Harvey, Taylor, Hurrell, McKeown, Strong, Yardley, Rose, Davies, Harrison, Davis and Kilmister. But it looks to me as though Ethan Newsham had those problems and has now brought the kart back into the pits. That's a real shame. So we'll double check on that one. But I didn't see him come through in the 30. Oh, no, wait. There he is. There he is. So the timing will update. But Ethan Newsham, sadly, in 19th position, a long way back. Here's Pulling, Stevenson, Butterworth, and the 23 of Richardson. And then with Kearney, Watson, Oates, and Wigley battling away behind. Oates has got through into 6th position. Harvey's got through into 9th place. And there's a bit of a tumble as Ben Watson initially not reading on the transponders, and now he has, so he's there in 7th place. Archie Strong in 13th position, making progress. Nobody's made as much progress as Harry Yardley-Rose, though, in 14th position. Pulling in Stevenson, leading the way for the Talco Racing team. They run in first and second. Third is Dan Butterworth. Fourth is Oliver Richardson. Fifth is Connor Kearney from Zach Oates and Ben Watson. Then it is Aston Wigley. Louis Harvey in 9th position. But Abby Pulling leads the way. She is the number one. And she is leading once again, the second race in a row. Spencer Stevenson second from Butterworth, Richardson, Kearney, Oates, Watson, Wigley, Louis Harvey, Will Orton, Zach Taylor and Liam Hurrell. From Harry Yardley-Rose, Dan McKeown, Max Davies, Jensen Davis, Archie Strong, Joe Harrison, Dominic Kilmister and Ethan Newsham. So Newsham is trying to eat away at the deficit he's got to make up, having started from the pits. But the racing's still very close. As up the inside goes Richardson. Makes the move on Butterworth into P3. Good move there at the first hairpin, turn 5. And now they come up towards the latter part of the course, through the right, through the left flick, and into the final hairpin. And it's the two Talco racing karts out in front, Pulling in Stevenson, trying to stretch away. Stevenson gets alongside Pulling on the way out of the final turn, but then tucks back in to cover his position. So great racing at the front. Richardson, fastest lap of the race the last time by, a 40.38. Makes him the fastest out on the circuit, up into 3rd place. Butterworth, Oates, Kearney, Watson, Wigley, Harvey and Will Orton of the Sam Jenkins Motorsport team rounds out the top 10. Where's Abby Pulling? She's down to 4th place. So Pulling has gone down to P4. So Stevenson must have made the move. That must have made Pulling run out wide, and that's dropped her to 4th position. So Pulling has gone a long way down, a few kart lengths behind her teammate. And then we've got Stevenson leading the way. Richardson second from Butterworth, Pulling, Oates, Kearney. Watson has made the move as well into 7th. Louis Harvey's come up to 8th place on Aston Wigley. Then it's Orton, Taylor, Hurrell, Yardley-Rose, McKeown, Davies, Davis, Strong, Harrison, Kilmister and Newsham. So Stevenson leads the way at the moment. The number 12, the rookie, the lead rookie, Spencer Stevenson, has the lead privateer in 2nd position behind him. The Oliver Richardson bandwagon in 2nd position. These two started very, very strongly from this race. But Butterworth has Abby Pulling for company now as they battle over 3rd position. The two rookies are stretching away. How about this for talent? Stevenson and Richardson, rookies this season. Their first meeting of the year. Their first meeting in Junior TKM at Super 1. And they're having an amazing run. So Spencer Stevenson and Oliver Richardson working hard as they battle in for position. And let's see what they can do as they charge forward. Stevenson looks good for a move up the inside. Richardson is going to try and make the move there, but he can't get through. Abby Pulling now makes the move on the inside of Dan Butterworth into third position. That's exactly what she needed. Back into P3 she goes. And now trying to work with Butterworth and Zach Oates, who has got a second opportunity now. This is the get out of jail free card, if you like, for Zach Oates in P5. Trying to charge forward. Connor Kearney's gone with them. 94 Ben Watson and Louis Harvey are not far away. Aston Wigley's in 9th. Will Orton in 10th. Then it's Taylor and Harry Yardley-Rose is up at a 12th place, up 9 places. Great run this from Harry Yardley-Rose. Now looking at the whisker of the top 10. So a good run this from Harry Yardley-Rose. In the lead it is Stevenson. Second it is Richardson. Third is Abby Pulling. Just like it was last time. These three battling for position. Now on the inside comes Pulling into second place. Pulling makes the move into turn 6 and gets through 7, through 8, and down to the final hairpin for 9. And Abby Pulling now has her teammate Spencer Stevenson to deal with. So this is going very well indeed for the Talco Racing team. They're back into 1 and 2. Abby Pulling just picking them off one by one. She's dealt with Butterworth. She's dealt with Richardson. Now she needs to find some speed to close up on Stevenson. Faster than him in the first sector by over 1/10 of a second. So Pulling is gaining ground on Stevenson. She's in her rhythm. She's in her flow. And surely she's going to go for the move into the hairpin. Yes, she does. Into the lead once again for Abby Pulling. Richardson tried to get the same move done on Stevenson. Stevenson was not budging. So that is back into the lead from down to 4th. Back up to 1st for Abby Pulling. This is a woman totally in command of her craft. Brilliant stuff in the junior TKM as she leads once again. Stevenson, her teammate, backing her up in second place. Richardson third from Butterworth, Oates, Kearney, Watson, Harvey and Aston Wigley. Harry Yardley-Rose is now to 10th position. He's made his way into the top 10, would you believe? William Orton in 11th place from Taylor, McKeown, Davies, Hurrell, Strong, Davis, Kilmister, Harrison and Ethan Newsham, who is still desperately trying to catch up to the rest of the field, but he doesn't have the slipstream, and that's where things are really going to cause an issue. Spencer Stevenson in second place, right on the tail of Abby Pulling. Third place, Oliver Richardson, working well with Dan Butterworth to try and close down the gap. Zach Oates, Connor Kearney and Ben Watson still in with a chance. As Watson tries, I thought there was looking for an opportune moment to go for Connor Kearney. Thought better of it, but the lead 7 are together, 1.35 seconds. Still any one of those three could find themselves on the podium with a minute to go now, plus 1 lap. So I make that by my calculations 3 laps to go, including this one. So Pulling and Stevenson running well out in front of the race. Third position for Richardson, then Butterworth, then Oates, then Kearney, and then at the back of the queue is Ben Watson. Louis Harvey's trying to catch them. He may get a position or two as up the inside goes Oates. He gets Butterworth of P4 and then has the nerve to signal to Dan Butterworth. Come on, let's go get them. Work with me here. Into the hairpin and over the line once more. 2 to go. Pulling out in front, leading Stevenson and Richardson. 4th place for Zach Oates in front of Dan Butterworth, Connor Kearney and Ben Watson. Then it's Louis Harvey, Aston Wigley, Harry Yardley-Rose, Will Orton, Dan McKeown, Max Davies and Zach Taylor. Liam Hurrell in 15th from Archie Strong, Jensen Davis, Dominic Kilmister, Joe Harrison and Ethan Newsham. Here they come, a lap and a half to go, and Stevenson gets a lot of curb. I think that's going to be Richardson's chance to get through. Stevenson's going to resist, hanging on to it on the inside. Beautiful defence. Abby Pulling's given a little bit of a gap, and that's fine. So Pulling and Stevenson continue to run 1 and 2. Well defended from Stevenson. Butterworth still tucked in behind Zach Oates for 4th position. Last lap. And then it's Kearney and Watson in 6th and 7th. Louis Harvey still trying to catch them from Aston Wigley and Harry Yardley-Rose. Then it's Orton, McKeown, Davies. Liam Hurrell's made the move on Zach Taylor. And then it's Strong, Davis, Kilmister, Harrison and Newsham. But for Abby Pulling, it looks like it's going to be 2 wins out of 2. The number 1 ahead of the teammate, number 12. Going well here at Larkhall. Now, is Stevenson going to be able to hang on in front of Richardson? Oates goes for broke and gets to the braking zone to try and get a move on the inside of Richardson. Not going to happen. I think it could be stalemate with a move or two coming up in the final turn. Pulling's going to get this one. Stevenson's going to have to work hard to hold on for second. Oates defends from Butterworth and out of the final turn. Pulling wins it. 2nd place for the 12. Brilliant work from Stevenson. Richardson in 3rd from Oates, Butterworth, Kearney and Watson. Absolutely terrific stuff. 1.4 seconds on the dais there. Really exciting stuff. Louis Harvey in 8th place. Aston Wigley and Harry Yardley-Rose in the top 10. What a drive back from Harry Yardley-Rose. 11 places made up. Superb run from the back of the grid. Dan McKeown in 11th place from Max Davies. William Orton and Liam Hurrell 14th. Then it is Zach Taylor, Archie Strong, Jensen Davis, Dominic Kilmister, Joe Harrison and Ethan Newsham, with sadly Morgan Kidd unable to take up the start after her earlier prang at the final turn. Hopefully she will be back to her best tomorrow. But a fantastic penultimate race of the day then, and Abby Pulling, her title defence is going swimmingly well. Makes it 2 out of 2 and a really strong battle. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. We've just got one more race to go then for today's action, and that is the TKM Extreme for Groups A versus C. So this will be the second race for these two groups as they battle away for the third race of the day for TKM Extremes and the 13th race of the weekend for the 30 races that we will have this weekend. 17 of them tomorrow, including just the one repechage for, you guessed it, TKM Extreme. There will be 2 heats tomorrow for junior and senior X30s, and then we'll have the 2 finals for the Bambinos, Mini X30s, Army Cadets, Junior TKMs, Junior X30s, Senior X30s and TKM Extremes in that order, with the televised finals kicking off from about 1:30ish tomorrow. And as I mentioned, the televised finals, I'm joined up in the commentary box by Alan Taddy of TDI Media. Good to see you. How are things?
Very good, very good.
So, well, obviously you've been doing more of your chroma keys so that the drivers know how they look in the world of television. It's been a really interesting day of the races so far. We've obviously had those first 2 rounds at PF International and Wilton Mill. What can you tell us about what we might be able to see tomorrow?
I think there's going to be some great racing, lots of overtaking opportunities on this. That's what you want. I've seen a lot of the racing today because I've been doing the chroma keys, as you say. I've been stuck inside in a cafe. I've been out doing a little bit of B-roll for the last hour or so. So I've not seen a lot of what's happened, just seen Abby's won first 2. Spencer Stevenson, my tip for the championship this weekend, did stick it on pole, to be fair. Got involved, I think, in a bit of an incident in the first race. I think he'd come 12th in that, but nice to see him come back in second. And he's got to take the positives out of the pole position, really. So second there is going to give him a reasonable position in the pre-final. If he can put it on the front 2 rows in the pre-final, maybe he can take the win in the pre-final and maybe the final. We never know. We've got the televised final at the end of the day tomorrow, and should be pretty exciting. One thing I am quite pleased about is seeing the Bambinos racing. Because normally when we film them, you've got to film one and then you film another one, then we put the times on. But it's fantastic to finally see them racing. And what a race that was before. What was that, 200ths of a second? 200ths
of a second, absolutely amazing. And only beaten, actually, by the Army Cadet race when we had 3 of them come across the line absolutely together. It was a finish that was captured on the photo up here. I think you need to put that one on social media as a promo for the championship. But, yeah, fantastic racing. I mean, what's your tip for the TKM Extreme this weekend? Who do you think is going to be the one to really come out on top?
Well, I tipped Ryan Cole in my ones to watch this week to win the championship this year. Spoke to Ryan earlier. His quality, he's always been a quality driver. He's not done anything other than really the TKM Festival the last 2 years, and he's always coming out on top there. And if you have a year off and then just come back for one event and win it against people that are racing every weekend, that tells you the quality of the man. So I spoke to him earlier. He is doing the full campaign, and obviously it's like anything. It's a big grid. You need a little bit of luck. I'm not sure where he finished in that first one. I think he was involved in something early on in the first race. So he's my tip for the championship. But listen, there's so much quality in that field. I can't even mention. If I start mentioning people off the top of my head, I'll end up forgetting one. There's probably literally 8 people in that field that could, seriously win the championship. It's 8. You might even argue maybe you could go 10. But that's a big percentage of the field that could win the championship if all things go well.
And the thing is, there's about 18, 19 drivers who could win individual races this year.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the thing about TKM we like is people talk about the new level playing field. It's been a level playing field for years. If you want a level playing field, you've already got one. It's TKM, and we see that in junior. We always see great racing in juniors, and we always see it in extreme as well. So that's going to be a cracking final. I'm looking forward to all the finals tomorrow, to be honest. I think we're going to see some great race action. The weather looks like it's going to be good. We've got permission from the MSA to fly the drone tomorrow. Fortunately, we're only going to be hovering, but it'll give us a nice sort of crane shot of this end of the circuit. And who knows? So last race going out. What's this one, Jake? It's,
TKM Extreme this one, race 13. So
let's see how Ryan Cole goes in this one then. So he's going off P2, I noticed. Interesting to see Joe Fowler in TKM Extreme. I did say the other year when he came out of TKM, he should have been in junior TKM to take Abby Pulling on. Didn't do that. I thought that was a bit of a mistake, but nice to see him back and right at the front of the field.
So it's Joe Fowler and Ryan Cole on that front row of the grid from Adam Sparrow and the leading privateer and rookie Cristiano Nardoni. Lee Whittingham and Christian Briley on the third row from Matthew Ayres and Sam Fowler. Carl Sproat and Daniel Butcher-Lord. Harry Moore and Theo Hesketh. Joseph Reeve-Smith and John Hogan. Josh Sheriff and Zach Bowen. Then we have Joe Stockford needing to make progress alongside Nathan Wells. Owain Rosser and Lewis Wadley from Matthew Horton and David Brickley. Lewis Rushforth and Chris Whitten once again bound to make catch-up. And then Pete Newman and Jack Darton from the back of the grid. The field looks well formed as they come into the final hairpin, the last race of the day here at the West of Scotland Kart Club, the Summerlee Raceway at Larkhall. Here we go, let's go racing for the last time today. A big problem for the 48 off the grid. That's a terrible start for Ryan Cole as he drops back into about 5th position on the way through. So that's impeded everybody on the even side of the grid again. Nardoni and Briley and Fowler having a real struggle. That mirrors what happened last time on that side of the grid. So Fowler, Sparrow and Whittingham have got an absolute flyer of a getaway as they complete the first sector. Whittingham fastest of all. Here they come through 4. Fowler is your leader. Sparrow in second. Third is Lee Whittingham. And a good bit of jostling for position in the mid-pack as they come through behind the top 5. Looks to me as though Ryan Cole has recovered it into P4. So that's not too bad going. And he is there with his teammate back in 6th position. Christian Briley in there. So a good little battle for position. Oh, no, sorry, that's Cristiano Nardoni, the 88 that was in there. My apologies. Christian Briley is there in 8th place. But great racing at the moment from Fowler, Sparrow, Whittingham, Cole, Ayres, Nardoni and Sproat.
Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about who could win this year. I mean, just look at the names that could win it. Fowler, Sparrow, Whittingham, Cole. Top 4 could all win this championship. Nardoni's an interesting one, Jake. Started P4. I wouldn't have put him up there, but nice to see people coming into the championship and doing really well.
And he's about to lose a place, unfortunately. Straight up the inside, Carl Sproat makes the move, and he's going to go through. Christian Briley is there with him as well, and he's lost another place to Sam Fowler. Harry Moore decides to step on in there as well. Really close battle as they ended up losing about 4 places there. And Joseph Reeve-Smith, I think, went through as well. So Nardoni down to 11th out of all of that. A real shame, but he will fight back. But it's Fowler, Sparrow, Whittingham, Cole, Ayres, Sproat and Briley. And then it's Sam Fowler from Harry Moore and Joseph Reeve-Smith in the top 10.
Yeah, Owen Ross has just made up 7 places in the first 2 laps. Joseph Reeve-Smith up 3. Harry Moore's on the move as well, up 3. As is Carl Sproat. And all of those drivers could also win the championship. You know, the quality in this field is quite amazing.
The battle for third place raging. Whittingham, Cole and Ayres. I think that's Cole through in a 3rd position on Whittingham. Yes, he's there. Matthew Ayres is on the back of them. The leading privateer as he comes through over the top 5. Very closely matched. Sproat's getting a little bit of assistance from Briley. Fastest first sector of the race from Joseph Reeve-Smith. So the Litchfield driver looks very comfortable in that first sector. Behind him, it's Rosser outside the top 10, but still fighting hard. Then it's Nardoni, Sheriff, Stockford, Bowen, Hogan, Butcher-Lord trying to make up progress. Hesketh, Whitten, Newman and Wadley. But out in front, it's looking good for Joe Fowler. He's got a really good, comfortable rhythm. Sparrow and Cole going with him, but not close enough to make a challenge. They're going to have to work together as that's a nice move on the inside there from Daniel Butcher-Lord, who makes the move on John Hogan into turn 5, the first of the hairpins of the 2nd sector. They come out of turn 9. Fowler looking good. Out in front by 0.7. Sparrow, Cole, Ayres, Whittingham. Sproat is there in P6. Then it's Briley, Fowler, Moore and Reeve-Smith in the top 10. Fastest 2nd sector of the whole race from Zach Bowen, who is the 3rd of the rookies in the mix. Cristiano Nardoni still 11th position, but still the leading rookie. So not a bad run from him. Matthew Ayres is now the leading privateer in the 5th position mark. Make that 4th position mark. He's made his way through on Lee Whittingham. So Fowler leads the way. Adam Sparrow 2nd from Cole. And there's some great battles going on on the far side. We've got an interesting tussle for position as Joseph Reeve-Smith makes his way on the inside there of, I think that's Christian Briley. He's made a way through. Oh, sorry, Carl Sproat, who's had a terrible lap. So Reeve-Smith gets his teammate Carl Sproat and now takes the head of that little tussle. But the fastest lap of the race so far is still Joe Fowler, having had a perfect lead out in front thus far. Sparrow in 2nd from Cole, Ayres, Whittingham, Briley, Fowler and Reeve-Smith. Carl Sproat in 9th from Harry Moore. And then Cristiano Nardoni is there in 11th position. Really good battle from these guys in the midfield. And leading the pack further back, that is the 20 of Josh Sheriff. Zach Bowen in 14th and 15th places. Theo Hesketh is in that mix as well. Dan Butcher-Lord, Pete Newman, Chris Whitton and John Hogan, all very much in position. Lewis Wadley in 21st position, but out in front, it is still Joe Fowler from Adam Sparrow, Ryan Cole and Matthew Ayres. In the top 5 is Lee Whittingham still, but it's very good luck for the moment for Joe Fowler.
One point I'd make, Jake, was saying about the quality in the field. Just looking through the field, the top 11, I think 8 of the top 11 have won races at Super 1 level, and that's very unusual.
Really good to see that battle continuing to move forward, but Fowler still your leader. Sparrow second from Ryan Cole and Matthew Ayres. Lee Whittingham, Christian Briley in 6th, then it's Sam Fowler. Fastest of all in the first sector, Joseph Reeves-Smith is 8th, then Carl Sproat, Harry Moore in the top 10, Cristiano Nardoni, Owain Rosser, and then Joe Stockford, Zach Bowen, and then Josh Sheriff from Dan Butcher-Lord, now been passed by Hesketh, Whitton and Newman on that lap. Wadley in 20th, then it's Hogan, Darden, Horton, Brickley, Rushforth and Wells. Really exciting battle. Fastest lap of all, though, from Sam Fowler that last time by. So Joe Fowler out in front, Sam Fowler in 7th place. The 2 Jade Racing Team karts going very well, the 31 and the 3.
Yeah, and Sam Fowler there in 7th place. Another winner here at Super 1 level at the... In a final, but Joe Fowler out front. Nice to see him back, Jake, after toying with Junior TKM and just failing to come out on top a few years ago, and then moving out of TKM back into TKM. Nice to see him out front. Sparrow, we know, has got loads of quality. Cole now in 3rd place. So Ryan Cole putting right some of the damage that happened in that first race. I'm not sure where he finished in that first race, but he certainly didn't have the best of start. Hadn't had the best of start in this one. I think, as you said, he was from 2nd to 5th by turn 1, but he's managed to eke it out. He's right there in 3rd place on the back of Sparrow. Now, this is interesting because Joe Fowler had a much bigger lead than this earlier. And look at this. You've got Sparrow now right on his tail with Cole. Just over 2 minutes on the clock. I'm expecting there to be a change here in the next lap.
It's never going to take long, is it, in TKM Extreme for the leader to be caught. Joe Fowler, Adam Sparrow in 2nd place, now with the fastest lap of the race, a 40.06 on the previous lap, a 47.58 average mile an hour. And the sun comes back to cook the circuit for the last 3 laps of this race. So it's going to be, the next time around, we will have 3 to go by my mathematics. Joe Fowler, Adam Sparrow and Ryan Cole. They are the 3 that will battle for the victory. Lee Whittingham and Matthew Ayres may get something out of it if they just keep battling away and keep close. Christian Briley's leading the charge behind from Sam Fowler and Joe. Back, battling away with Harry Moore in 4th in the number 4 kart in the next of the Jade Racing karts. But Joe Fowler's got Adam Sparrow right behind him. Adam Sparrow, another new fastest lap, a 40.05 this time, as they are a whisker away from the 39-second barrier. But Joe Fowler hanging on to the lead as he has done for the previous 10 laps of this race. We're on lap 11, and Fowler trying to hang on in front of Adam Sparrow. How long is this lead going to last? We're about to find out. Sparrow's got a good run out of 4. He won't go for the move in the hairpin. He's not going to be too brave too soon. Then up into the second hairpin at 5, up at 6, then up through 7, long road flick, up to left-hander at the turn 8, and then into the hairpin, turn 9, final run, 2 to go as they come through this time by. Ryan Cole is actually really struggling to keep up with these 2. Sparrow is working with Fowler to get away. Joe Reeves-Smith gets a brilliant last-moment lunge on Christian Briley through turn 1. He left that to the last possible minute. Meanwhile, Whitton and Hesketh look to have got into an incident. They've dropped to 19th and 21st, respectfully. So a bit of a problem there for Whitton as he tries to make up progress. And in the lead, still Joe Fowler, but not for much longer if Adam Sparrow's got a say in the matter. Ryan Cole is now closing up on them. So I wonder if they've had a little bit of a battle at the far side of the circuit and swapped positions a couple of times, because now this is Sparrow's chance to go for Fowler, and he knows it. Very fast lap time this from Ryan Cole, very fast in the middle sector as they go into the final lap. This is going to be interesting from Fowler and Sparrow. Will Sparrow go for the move into the hairpin? Can't see them as they go into that position. Oh, we got an off at the far side. Somebody's gone off at the final, at the turn 3. I'm not sure who that was, but there's been some damage. I think that is Lewis Wadley. Lewis Wadley has gone off the circuit and pulled off, but now at turn 4, here comes Sparrow. He needs a good exit, but 31, Joe Fowler knows he's there. Ryan Cole in 3rd position, and he knows that Sparrow won't risk anything yet. That is 2 silly and over the mark. He defends to the inside at 7. Here comes Sparrow to cut across. Will he go for the move at the final hairpin? He's not going to get there. It is going to be a victory for Joe Fowler from Sparrow and Cole. Great racing from the three of them throughout that run. Whittingham and Ayres, 4th and 5th position. Some jostling for positions in the final turn. Joseph Reeves-Smith bags 6th position from Sam Fowler. Christian Briley is next up. Then it is Harry Moore, and Cristiano Nardoni gets back into the top 10 as the leading rookie. The leading privateer, by the way, was Matthew Ayres. Then it is Carl Sprout in 11th, Zach Bowen, Joe Stockford from Rosser, Sheriff, Butcher Lord, Newman, Witten, Hesketh and Darton in the top 20. And then it's Matthew Horton from Nathan Wells, Brickley, Hogan and Rushforth, with sadly Lewis Wadley out of the race on the penultimate lap. Well, 13 races done here at the West of Scotland Kart Club, and it's been a great weekend thus far. 13 races down, 17 to go, and it's been absolutely nail-biting, action-packed stuff, and all of the classes have given us a really interesting splice of the action as we go into the evening. Thanks, Alan, for coming up and joining me for the closing stages, and we'll get ourselves ready for more action with tomorrow's racing very much in earnest, as we'll have plenty of racing to talk about. As we mentioned, 17 races over the course of the weekend still to come, and they will kickstart tomorrow. We'll go live on air at Downforce UK again at about 10 to 10 tomorrow morning for the first of the races, which is the final heat for Junior X30. Then we'll have the Senior X30 heat in there as well, and then the repechage for TKM Extreme, and we'll go straight into the first finals, the Bambinos, which will be at about 10:45. Then we'll have our pause after the first of the TKM Extreme finals, and then we'll come back on the air again for the rest of the televised finals, which Alan and his crew at TDI Media will be very hard at work for at about 1:30 tomorrow. So that is the way things will go. Thank you to everybody listening around the circuit here at the West of Scotland Kart Club. Thank you all very much for making me very welcome. My first time in 6 years, and my first time in the commentary box as well. I've had a magnificent view. So thank you to all of the marshals at the WSKC and everybody here as well at Super One. It's been a great weekend so far. We'll do it all again tomorrow. I'm Jake Sanson from trackside here at the West of Scotland Kart Club at Summerlee Raceway in Larkhall, and to those listening on Downforce UK around the world as well. It's been a great day, but tomorrow will be even better.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.